What is it? It is hot, hot, hot outside today. And for West Ham, it's getting even hotter at the foot of the Premier League. With just 2 wins since succeeding Manuel Pellegrini in the Stratford hot seat back in January, manager David Moyes is under increasing pressure to get points on the board. With time, and we've got some feedback already. That's a good start. David Moyes is under increasing pressure to get points on the board with time rapidly running out to save West Ham's season. But having lost 2-0 at home to Wolves in disappointing fashion on Saturday, it gets no easier with this Tuesday night trip to Tottenham. Although our hosts aren't exactly in the most sparkling form, with no wins in their last 7 outings in all competitions. I'm delighted to be joined tonight on Eyes Up Mother Brown by my fellow KUMB team members, Gnome.
Hey, Neil.
The Pink Palermo.
Good evening.
DL.
What?
And Rio.
Evening all.
We'll be keeping you all entertained throughout the evening. We've given Bristol Hammer and Chalks the night off, so they're fully fit once again for Sunday's episode of the Mod Pod. And you can catch up with the first 2 episodes of that on our YouTube channel. But on to tonight, something has to give. And to kick us off, I can confirm there are 2 changes for West Ham, which Gnome is going to tell you all about right now.
Yeah, I'll just run through our team very quickly. Ngakia has been left out, and he's not even on the bench. Fredericks comes in. And Balbuena has come in effectively for Anderson, leaving a starting lineup of Fabianski, Fredericks, Cresswell, Balbuena, Diop, Noble, Souček, Rice, Bowen, Fornals, and Antonio. Some speculation as to whether or not Rice will actually push up in the midfield, or it'll be a 3-5-2, or however he's going to manage that. But on the bench, we got Yarmolenko, Anderson, Lanzini, Wilshere, Ogbonna returns to availability, Ajeti, Xande Silva, Randolph the keeper, and Johnson. Spurs have brought Dele Alli back in after his suspension for, I believe it's Snapchat-related offences or something. They line up Loris, Aurier, Davis, Sanchez, Dyer, Ali, Sissoko, Son, Lo Celso, Lucas, and Kane. And thankfully, I've got my picture back as well, so I can tell you what's going on. UHD did collapse for a second or two there.
Sorry. We've got our lineups in. We're good to go. The match is just about to begin. A few words before we start. Pinky, what are your thoughts on the lineups, and can we win it?
We've got a chance. You know, we went there a year ago and no one gave us a chance, and Antonio buried it, and we came away very successfully. So, you know, Tottenham, they're not great themselves at the minute. I'm delighted they've left Winks out tonight. That's good news, I think, for us. But again, for us, it's where's the goals coming from? And we need a big improvement on what we saw at the weekend, that's for sure.
Excellent. You were just saying before we started there that you think Harry Kane's carrying a little bit of timber.
Yeah, and you'd expect that. I mean, he's been out for the best part of 6 months, and you know, so he's had a long layoff, and it's not easy to shift it. He's quite a big guy, but I think that will help us in the sense of his game is all about being sharp, like any strikers, and 6 or 7 pounds is a huge difference at this level if you're carrying it.
Thanks, Pinky. Good stuff. DL, we've just kicked off. What are your thoughts?
I think it's going to be absolute load of old rubbish. We're going to lose, and the forum will just go into meltdown.
Great to have a bit of enthusiasm to kick us off with, but you're probably going to be right. We'll see. Rio, have you got anything a little bit more happy in terms of predictions for us?
I'm confident, but they're playing Davison Sanchez, which, let's be honest, these are dismal. Out of all their centre-backs, he's probably the worst. So maybe that works in our favour.
I'm delighted to report that 40 seconds in, we've spent most of the game so far in Tottenham's half. So things are looking up already. Loris has already had 2 touches and Fabianski hasn't seen the ball yet. So that's pretty good. Antonio looked a bit ropey on Saturday, Gnome.
Oh, great off.
Oh, come on.
Oh.
Terrific move by West Ham there. Absolutely outstanding. Much better than anything we saw Saturday.
Ball in from Cresswell was nodded back, or held up and nodded back by Antonio. Noble tried to get through, ran into traffic basically, and the keeper came out. Noble's claiming a little bit of contact there. I've seen him given, but only against us. So we were never getting those in a million years. So
watching on Sky Go, we're somewhat a bit behind.
We are.
And there we go. Yeah.
I'm on 2 minutes 19. If anybody's counting.
Yeah,
I'm with you, Gnome. I'm with you.
About 40 seconds difference at the moment.
We lost on Saturday, Graham.
I'm with DL. I'm at about 150 right now. So I think I might give my stream a little reboot, actually. Pinky, are you up with everyone else at the moment?
No, yeah.
Okay. Well, you guys can keep us. Just having a look at that again. Is there a possible claim for Noble there, or is that a little bit too
Not
hopeful?
really, no. Just seeing what's happened here, there's a little bit of strangeness going on. There was Son went down the left, got a cross in that seemed to be going out. Fabianski put a hand on it, brought it back in, and much to everyone's consternation, it's been given as a corner, which either it went out and it was a goal kick, or it was play on. But nothing's come of the corner. It's gone in for a goal kick. So bit of a strange decision there from the officials, not for the first time this weekend, I suspect. But yeah, 0-0. Just a bit of an odd one, because there was no need really for Fabianski to touch that. It was going wide. But there you go.
Who's the danger man tonight, Pinky? Who have we got to look out for?
I think it's Son. I think he can make something out of nothing, which in the current Tottenham lineup, he's probably their best bet. I think they lost a lot when Eriksen departed. Eriksen was always a player that could give you something. Yeah. And I think they're much, much weaker without him. So Son would be the one that I'd sit on tonight and just keep a close eye on.
We've just had another good cross in from Cresswell, chested down by Bowen. Seemed to be played out for a corner, but referee said there was a flick off Bowen. Goal kick, but promising move. Just as my Ultra HD feed has gone completely. So I'll be back.
I think that leaves Pinky as the only one with who's completely up to date right now. So Pinky, keep us informed, buddy, please, if you will.
Okay. Well, we've got Tottenham trying to go the full Man City by playing around in their own box at the minute. Beautiful Ray Wilkins square pass from Eric Dyer there. How does he get a game? I mean, it makes me wonder that, if Dyer can play in the top flight of English football, I've still got a chance. I really have. Don't rate the guy at all. But Tottenham now pouring forward, it must be said, and generally looking very comfortable on the ball.
And I'm back in on 5 minutes and 3 seconds now. So
okay, you're getting further ahead of me at the moment. I should stress to everyone I'm watching on Now TV's TV player, and I think I'll have my money back after this.
I'm 40 seconds behind as well.
Okay, so I'll tell you what we're going to do. I think we'll have Rio, Gnome, and Pinky. You can give us a shout if anything major happens, and me and DL can mull over the replays when it happens for us. That will probably work quite well, I should imagine.
Something was just forced the corner. Bit of an inexplicable header out by I think it was Diop. But yeah.
Under no pressure, and see what happens here.
And of course, Diop's got something to make up for. I think the team felt that he was slightly responsible for the first goal on Saturday. Pinky?
Yeah, I mean, he's clearly short of confidence at the minute, and his lack of awareness about what's going on around him at the moment, and that's why we conceded the corner. I mean, It should have been straightforward. Header that could clear easily, and he knocked it behind for the corner because he's just not aware of who's around him, and that's not a good sign. I think if I was playing against Diop, every opportunity I had, I'd get him facing his own goal, and I think he kind of falls apart a little bit there.
Oh, Harry Kane's dribbling in the box. He's not got the ball. He's just talking to someone.
Had to get that one in somewhere.
I'm going to stick with
I picked
18. Old trade
Well,
still keeps crashing on me, so I'm back on ordinary high definition now.
terrible, isn't it? Terrible that the technology we have to cope with at the moment. Rio, what do you
First world
think?
problem.
7 minutes in now, we doing okay? We're holding our own out there so far.
It's already a more entertaining game than Saturday by a million miles, and we've shown more attacking intent as well with 2 chances, and we're just outside the box now. Gone down the left to Creswell. Yeah, it's much more bright than the Saturday. That's the only positive I can think of at the moment.
Yeah,
But when Tottenham have the ball, they look comfortable, but we are creating a bit more.
I think we spent pretty much the opening 10-15 minutes in our own half, didn't we, on Saturday? So we seem to have definitely held our own so far.
More touches in their box already tonight than we had all Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, it's chalk and cheese. It really is.
Certainly look more organised.
It looks like a completely different mindset. The intent's there when we have the ball. We're looking right, looking to create space, looking to get down the channels, looking to get down the flanks. We didn't do that once on Saturday, not at all.
Yeah, Agakia struggled, didn't he, on Saturday on the left, and again Cresswell, who is usually pretty decent attacking on the left flank. I can't think of a single opportunity that he created on Saturday. Can you, Nick? DL?
Oh, Ngakia? No, sorry, I was eating sweeties.
Cresswell.
Cresswell.
Well, either of them, actually.
I didn't really watch much of it, to be honest, because it was shit, and I switched off. I was just reading Facebook on my phone and following it on the forum. It was mind numbing. So not much comment about Saturday or whenever it was, I'm afraid.
Rio, do you want to take that one? I mean, we did struggle a bit, didn't we, on Saturday with the crossing? Didn't really test Patricio, did we at all, or get behind their fullbacks at any point, really?
I think we put in one decent cross all game, and that was early in the second half. No, sorry, in the first half. And as I said already tonight, we've shown more intent and more desire. It's a shocking state of affairs what we watched Saturday, and already the mindset looks completely different. So that's a positive already.
Pinky, what do we think about the team shape, looking at what we've seen so far, and how does it differ from what Moyes did on Saturday?
I think he's pushed Noble much further forward, probably 10 or 15 yards further forward, which I think might be helping us a little bit tonight. So I think that's the benefit of having Rice in midfield. I think you've got generally Souček and Rice sitting, and it just looks a better structure. Noble's definitely playing 15 yards further up the pitch, that's for sure. Whether or not he can sustain it for 90, I wouldn't be certain. I might see Noble off maybe on the hour and Jack Wilshere introduced to do the same kind of thing. So, but much better tonight. Immeasurably better.
We definitely struggled to get hold of the midfield at all, didn't we, Gnome, on Saturday? Was Rice the main reason for that, because he was reverted to central defence?
Yeah, it's sort of down by the fact he's quite good in both positions, really. Clearly, David Moyes is not enamoured of Balbuena, which is why he wasn't first choice on Saturday. But the position with it looks much better. It looks more solid in midfield with Rice there. And as everyone said, we've got a lot more in the way of attacking intent. And Bowen's just been eased off the ball, shall we say. Got a free kick just inside our own half there. But and the other thing is we're trying to break forward with a bit of pace. Saturday, I thought we were very, very ponderous. I'm not advocating we larrup it forward, route one all the time and all that, but every time we did look like going forward on Saturday, we seemed to take half an hour about it. And everything would break down and it'd come back at us again. Whereas when we get the ball, people are looking up and seeing who's in front of them. There's a noticeable difference there.
Yep. I'm now back on the game, having spent the last couple of minutes updating
You know,
our social
in all
media.
seriousness, the way he set us up tonight.
Yep.
If I was a betting man, I'd probably put 20 quid on Jack Wilshere getting a goal in the second half, because clearly Noble's running from midfield into advanced positions in classic Jack Wilshere territory. So
it's a good ball.
Jack to replace Nobes in the second half. Stick your money on him
Tottenham
getting
looking dangerous there.
It's a very positive statement of intent from Moyes tonight. Very good tonight.
And definitely needed after Saturday. Just going into the forum quickly to look at the match thread to see what people are saying so far. Gaz WHU66 agrees with the consensus on here by saying much better than the Wolves game already. Bowen looks lively, someone we haven't really mentioned yet so far on the stream. SH agrees, a bright start. Moyes must have let them have a battered Mars bar each before the game. And Celador says he wishes Fornals was playing where Noble is and Yarmolenko was on the wing. Fornals is best in the centre, in his opinion, and he's better at that role than Noble. Yarmolenko would give a bit more size and scoring threat. What do we think about that, DL?
Yeah, I think I agree. Actually, could do, but at the end of the day, it's not broken at the Mo, is it? So we're doing all right. I'm not going to say we're setting the world on fire, but we're doing all right. We've given them a game. So yeah, we've got good options on the bench, which is something that we don't normally have. Actually, we've got a lot of creativity on the bench. And remember, it's a hot day. Those 5 substitutes today could work very well for us. You never know. Tired legs, bringing on Anderson, Lanzini, Yarmolenko. They're all decent players if they execute on right.
No,
no, the Heat might.
No, we just had a promising situation developing, but Fornals let the ball get away from him with. I think Cresswell was in a good position and wide outside him. It just needed feeding through, but Fornals overran it, and then a foul there, sort of as the Tottenham player broke away. All came to naught, which was bit of a shame. Tottenham had a chance a few minutes ago. Ball was played inside Cresswell. Cross came over, which eventually got cut out for a corner. Corner came to nothing. Fornals has just picked up a yellow for that, belatedly, by the way. But what worried me there was that about 2 minutes beforehand, the ball had been played wide out on our left, their right.
Yeah.
I'm not sure who's playing wide right for Spurs, the lad's name, but he had absolutely no one within about 4 miles of him. Thankfully, he was offside, but it was a bit of a sort of warning shot, if you like. Keep an eye out over there.
Just looking at that yellow card again. I mean, it's one of those. He's late. He's caught Aurier's ankle. But Pinky isn't that one of those that sort of 20 or 30 years ago that, you know, it's just going to be a free kick, isn't it? Is the referee going to pull his card out for that? Is this a modern day phenomenon?
Ago, yes, that's for sure. But in the modern game, that's a nailed on yellow, Graham. I mean,
sure.
You know, it's the classic yellow that you get at what I call the early stage of a season. Players' timing isn't quite right. You know, they're a little bit off the pace. There's no malice involved, but he's done him quite badly there.
It was more for the effect of the challenge than the challenge itself. He did catch him on the ankle, painful place to be caught. Needed treatment. You'll see those given 9 times out of 10, I suspect.
I think that's fair enough. We are 15 minutes or just over a quarter of an hour in now, still 0-0. So I guess we're all reasonably happy with that. Rio, any other thoughts on the opening 15? You know, where do we go from here? Do we kind of, if you're the manager, are you going to sit on this for now? Just sort of hope we maintain parity, or, you know, should we be looking to attack a little bit more at this stage?
No, I'm being on the away side. I'm reasonably happy with the way we're set up and the way we've coped the first 15 minutes. I'm more impressed by the fact that this actually feels like a Premiership game. Saturday felt like a training session, and we got torn apart. This looks like there's a lot more intensity. It feels like a proper game, and we're up for it.
Yes, DL. It was very strange, wasn't it? Those first round of games, it was kind of if as if everybody was feeling their way into it. And as Rio, I think, rightly states there, it did feel a little bit like a training game. Do you feel that this looks more like a proper, you know, blood and thunder London derby? Obviously,
I'll go
without
that
the
far,
fans.
but it looks like it is a proper game rather than, you know, a kickabout over the park like the others have done. I still don't think it's got the intensity of a London derby. Maybe this is the intensity of a London derby in this, I hate using the phrase, current climate. So yeah, it's enjoyable. I'm not jumping up and down off my seat yet and biting my nails, but yeah, it's okay. It's not bad at all. That's about the best you're going to get from me at the moment.
Well, I think we'd all take that. If you know, if it's okay, that can't be a bad thing, I guess. I'm just trying to find very quickly, and of course, please jump in, guys, if anything happens on your streams that are slightly ahead of mine. Just looking quickly at our predictions for tonight. And Frank Keogh, who was our guest on the Mod Pod on Sunday, went for a 1-1 draw, as did Gnome, as did you, Mr. Palermo. And Breeze, actually, Bristol Hammer was the only one who went for an away win. He felt we might sneak this one 2-1. The rest of us chalks went for a 4-0 defeat. Rio, you felt we'd go down 3-0, and I went for a 1-0 defeat. So none of us are really sort of out of the equation yet, but it's certainly looking okay so far, I think. No, where are we at the moment on your feed? Anything interesting happening? 30 seconds of
18-23.
advance?
Tottenham have got the ball deep in by our corner, but Fornals has come back and done well there. Tottenham just having a bit of possession, and we weren't ball from Noble. Sorry, he's got it back, but that was awful. When we were trying to get rid of it, it was going up to Antonio. He needs to be better at holding on to it than that.
Yeah.
And
No, Cole, is he?
no.
I was just going to say that. Yes, we've just seen that actually now on our stream
on the right. So it's Bowen just been caught at the back now. I'd actually now Bowen's just that's is it Souček or Bowen? There's a nasty little catch on the sort of top of the ankle and foot. The referee's going to be a bit sort of even on this. That was probably as bad a challenge as Fornals' was.
Yeah, I've just seen that come in. Yeah,
and there's no yellow for that, which is somewhat infuriating. Free kick played in by Noble. Go on, Antonio. Oh, Bowen follows up and it's blocked.
Pinky, to talk to us. What's going on up there?
Yeah, I mean, again,
Lino's flagged up.
96-year-old Mark Noble puts the free kick in. It's clearly a planned move. Straight on to looking for it now. Rice's head was the target to flick on to I think Antonio, but didn't quite come off. But again, positive intent, and when we want to know what they work on in training all week, well, clearly that was it. Didn't quite come off.
Linesman's flag went up there, and interestingly, the one player in an offside position wasn't the one who went for the ball, and yet that's usually the sign of that he's not interfering. That would have been interesting had that gone in, because I think that might have been a VAR overrule, but obviously it got blocked, and nobody's going to say any more about it. So
I think what's quite interesting about that chance there, that to me is eerily reminiscent of the position he scored from last year, is it not?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Very much so.
Yeah.
In the 1-0 win. But just jumping back into the forum quickly and going back to that earlier 4-0 challenge, Pinky, you'll be pleased to know that everyone is absolutely in agreement with you there. Smut says, can't moan about that yellow for 4-0, got his pocket picked far too easily. Ironing Board says, crap 4-0, should have challenged immediately there and would have had a chance, silly foul. And SH agrees, caught him on the ankle with his studs, to be fair. And Celador also says that deserved a yellow. So everyone's in agreement in that. We are 22 minutes in now. Still no goals in this London derby. Neither team, of course, came into this one in sparkling form. West Ham with just one win in their last 11 games. No, go on.
Yeah.
Top shot from distance from, not sure, that is basically Fabianski tipped it over. It's good shot, fine save. Looked good, save looked good, but yeah, from Lucas, save looked good, but it's one you'd expect him to make, I think is probably the words to say it. So, yeah, shot from Lucas. Is it just me who's just noticed that it's now players' names on the back and not Black Lives Matter?
It's a little bit easier, isn't it, to differentiate between the players tonight? We certainly
Fabianski
struggled with that, I think, a bit on Saturday.
And the corner came in. Fabianski dealt with it very well under what looked like illegal pressure. Nothing given, but he did very well. It's drinks break.
Good stuff. While we're going into the break there, Rio, can I just take you back to that effort from Lucas? Definitely the best chance of the night, and Fabianski doing his job yet again.
Yeah, and as Gnome said, rightly so. It just got to cast your mind back a couple of months before this broke down. And look who we had in goal. And where would that have ended up? No Roberto's mentioned,
This is very true. DL, thoughts on the Fabianski save? Standard stuff?
Yeah, bread and butter in it. If he'd let that in, that wouldn't have been good. Mind you, saying that, he did have a bit of a mare against Liverpool, didn't he? So anything can happen this West Ham, innit, really?
Yeah. Interestingly, just looking at the forum, one for you perhaps here, Pinky. Celador believes that Fabian Balbuena has been our best defender so far. Just saying that, well, actually, him and Ironboard both agree. Ironboard saying Balbuena has been okay, looks much improved. And Celador saying, yes, I agree, he's actually looked the best of the back four. Would you go along with that so far?
Maybe the best of a bad bunch. I mean, I don't think any of them have looked particularly comfortable on the ball. I think there's an element of all of them, rabbits caught in headlights. And, we saw Diop give away a corner unnecessarily earlier, and Balbuena gave away a throw-in that was 12 yards from the dead ball line with the pass that was just careless, really. Noble tried his best to recover it, but he couldn't quite make it. What I would say, and I spoke about it 10 minutes ago, Noble's actually covered more miles than Phileas Fogg tonight, and I would put any money on him being told, give me an hour, and he's the first one. No question about it. He's putting a real shift in here tonight.
Well, in terms of substitutions, you certainly called it right on Saturday when we were talking about Traore coming on and changing the game. So we shall see. But yeah, I mean, it certainly seems to be giving his all right now. Gnome is back with us, although slightly on his side at a strange angle. Interestingly, the three gnomes behind you on the stairs haven't fallen off. So there we go. We seem to have an addition on the stairs tonight, Gnome. Who else is with us this evening? We've got three guests there.
So I just so I had to pause to take a delivery, as you're well aware. I've got me three gnomes out. The number of gnomes that I've been bought over the years.
Off you go, Pinky. Take us through it. Sorry, Gnome. Go on, Pinky.
Yeah, Noble's just been booked. He's taken one for the team there.
Yeah.
We had an attacking free kick. He put in a bit of a floater that Tottenham easily dealt with. They broke, and he just had to take one for the team to break up the attack. So definite booking, no complaints. And that's another yellow card for Mr. Noble to add to his collection.
DL, any concerns that we've got two midfielders in the book inside the opening half an hour?
Yeah, I was just thinking that 25 minutes in, and we've got two on a. I mean, they're not the greatest tacklers in the world, are they? Either of them. Let's be fair.
Yeah.
They need to either rein it in, or we're going to end up with ending this with 10 men. I think we're starting to look. I don't know whether it's just me, but I think we're starting to look a little bit vulnerable. I don't know, with the late challenges. I don't know why they persist with these Noble floaters, because ever since the days of Allardyce, these Noble floaters, I don't think we've ever scored from them, have we? We look mentally fragile, as well, I think.
Okay.
If they score, I can see our edge dropping and it all going a bit tall.
Okay.
There was
Rio,
3 or 4 goals.
Noble, and we're just
Oh.
watching. We're just Dio and I are just watching Fabianski make a save, but we're probably behind someone else there. Rio, I just wanted to ask you quickly about Noble. Is that a sign of his age? He clearly seemed to be done for pace there before reaching for the shirt. Do you think that's a concern?
Well, let's be honest. He's never been the quickest in the world, and he's always been susceptible to that.
Yeah.
Age is not going to aid this, is it? So I just think it's a mixture of natural lack of pace and advancing years.
Okay.
Graham, he had to take the yellow. We had 6 players the wrong side of the ball.
Yeah.
So as soon as it broke down from the free kick, he had no choice. Take the yellow or concede the goal. It was a very professional foul and one that actually his manager would say, good lad, no question.
Yeah, there was no doubt that he was away there, isn't it? If he hadn't made that
Cut
challenge.
open there. Kane again, a ball split the defence almost. Diop just managed to cut the ball out, playing it back to Fabianski. It was an awkward one for Fabianski to deal with, but deal with it he did, and we're back on the attack now.
Yeah, that is a shocking back pass, that one, isn't it, Diop?
We're looking vulnerable now. I think we're looking vulnerable. It's we're having the odd glimpses going up their end, but they seem to be getting into gear. I think it's only a matter of time, to be honest.
Rio, do you agree with that? The game seems to be opening up a little bit now. Do we feel that Tottenham are beginning to look like they're close to getting the opening goal of the game?
Yeah, I think we need to actually, instead of keeping up this intensity, it's just to actually get something to put their foot on the ball and try and eke out space rather than go 90 miles per hour. Because when they hit on the break, they look a threat.
We're just seeing here Cresswell trying to get round the back, but to no avail, Pinky. After a perhaps brighter start, we seem to have sat back a little bit, don't we? We don't seem to be getting behind them anymore.
Even though it's early doors, we look to be running out of gas a little bit, which we were always going to struggle to sustain the pace we started. We've had 2 or 3 minutes of sloppy passes, to be honest. And I think probably it needs someone just to say this: just calm down a second, lads. We don't have to win the game in the first half. Just string a few passes together and hang on to the ball for a little while. And we look a bit leggy, if I'm being honest, and that could be a telling fact in the second half, that's for sure.
There's a couple of occasions in the last 5 minutes where we've got promising positions and just the final ball's been cut out. One from Rice and another one with Bowen was going to be playing Cresswell in on the left. And it's one of those ones where you think, just need to keep an eye on things here a little bit, and we do need to hold it up. If it gets played up to Antonio, he needs to be able to hold up. Crossing from the right, Kane gets on the end of it and heads it over. I am a bit worried about stuff coming in from our left. I mean, again, the lad out there is all on his own. Cresswell, even when sort of challenging for the cross, is 5 yards away from him with his hands behind his back. You're never going to stop the cross getting in. Cresswell's got to be told he's got to stop those crosses getting in.
Yeah, a couple of nice moments that I just wanted to touch on there. Firstly, a fantastic interception by Declan Rice, dropping back in to help the defence there. And also, I don't know if you noticed it, but Pablo Fornals just G'ing the side up, just giving them a little come on, which is it's not anything hugely influential, but it's nice to see. A little bit of team spirit maybe that we certainly lacked on Saturday, DL.
Yeah. Mark, the main thing I was looking at with Fornals and quite a few of them actually is what's going on with all the beards.
Sorry, Pinky, go on. What's that?
It was a Bowen in a 40-yard crossfield pass, I think it was, inch perfect. Yep. Lovely stuff. But it's Tottenham breaking now, that's for sure. Ball from Son out to right to Kane. In the middle, good ball into the middle. Cut out by, I think, Balbuena again.
So kind of backing up, I guess, what the guys were saying earlier on the forum. Just touching on the match thread again quickly, a little bit of negative comment as far as Noble's concerned. I don't know if this is the usual suspects digging him out at the first available opportunity, but Macca 1973 says, what is the point to Noble now? A diabolical free kick followed by a pathetic booking, which I'm not sure we'd agree with here, given what we've said. The Jackhammer disagrees. He said it's a soft yellow on Noble there. Pob asks, how many times is Noble going to give the ball away tonight? And Smuts with a big smiley says, Noble booked for a professional foul 40 yards from our goal. So not a lot of love for our captain there, Rio. We seem to get that quite a bit, don't we, these days?
Yeah, I think he's an easy target. Obviously, the age, the pace. He's always been susceptible to diving in, giving away those silly challenges. Like Pinky said, this one was understandable. Like they would have broken easily. But Noble's an easy target. But the thing is, as I said Saturday, when he's not playing, we miss him. He is the heartbeat of the side.
As it can be said, though, if he put a better ball in, he wouldn't have had it come straight back to him, and he wouldn't have had to make the foul, would he?
Oh yeah, definitely. But his delivery is like really hit and miss, and tonight it's not been on target at all yet.
It's a bit like our postman.
Yeah, I mean, the worry on that for me is, again, at the ripe old age of 33, he's still on free kick duty. I'm willing to bet he'll be on corner duty. And when we start signing players that can take some responsibility and take some of it off his shoulders, and undoubtedly he's given the ball away, I think 3, maybe 4 times tonight. Same as Declan Rice, same as Bowen. So he's in good company, but I'm afraid he does tend to attract the boo boys, because if you've been there 16 seasons, there's an element of, can't we just see somebody new? But I think very much we'll miss him when he's gone, that's for sure.
Yes, one of those you don't know what you've got till it's gone scenarios. A couple more people piling in on Noble on the KUMB Forum match thread. My sobriquet says Noble knows we aren't playing in white, right? And WC Pete says Nobes is not at the races so far today. 3 bad giveaways, a missed goal opportunity, a bad free kick, and a silly yellow.
Sorry, I'm going to adjust my set. I must be watching a different game. Sorry, but this is just picking on the captain for the sake of it. I'm not having that. That ain't right.
Fair enough. We are going to cut out with the Noble comments. No more Noble comments. I think you're right, Pinky. We've probably done that one to death now. But Plasto Iron, then let's have a bit of positivity. Plasto Iron says you can actually see what they're trying to do tonight. Some of the balls they are playing actually have intent. A polar opposite to the Wolves game. Very positive. Are we feeling that positive at the moment, Gnome?
Not quite as positive as that. I've just watched a long 5-minute spell of pretty much total Tottenham possession, which, to be fair, we've done very well in sort of keeping our shape and defending it. And it's ended up with a shot for about 30 yards that's gone over. Just a couple of times in that sort of possession spell, we've kind of won the ball there, but again, it's come straight back. Sorry, Antonio's just gone down the wing. Is now forward. I think that's a corner. It's the corner flag's just off the side of my screen there. Yeah, it is a corner. So as I say, it was. You don't like to see the opposition have quite so much that possession, but you could see the hard work that was going into making sure that they didn't get between the lines, and it was. Yeah, but you're always relieved at the end of it when, after all that, it goes over. So corner just about to be taken. Eventually, in your own time, lads.
We are getting. Go on, Gnome, carry on.
And, that'll go out for another one. It's been given as a goal kick. Well, that's just wrong. I'm fairly sure that's wrong. Diop's looking innocent.
Is it time for a dig at PGMOL yet? I mean, surely that's deserved of a little criticism.
Funny enough, I've actually had to, in my professional job, I've actually praised PGMOL for a case they won against HMRC recently. I won't bore you with the details, but it's very, very helpful to some of my clients.
We are just on the delayed feed. Dio and I are just seeing the corner come over. Really, it's a really quite a decent delivery, that. Right on the edge of the 6-yard box, a couple of Diop for one attacking it with some serious intent, and it certainly did look like another corner. I'm just watching the replay again here, and I'm not sure it's 50-50. I think
come off his back by the looks of it there.
Sorry, DL, what was that?
Might come off Diop's back, I think.
Yeah, it certainly didn't look that clear cut. Pinky, we're approaching half time, 7 or 8 minutes to go. Are we happy with what we've seen so far?
Yeah, broadly. I mean, I think the difference we've seen in the last 5 or 6 minutes is Tottenham had an extra day's rest compared with us, which I think particularly in this climate will help. I think the fact that Mourinho has had more options to rotate parts of his squad has also helped Tottenham, whereas Moyes has got to pick pretty much from the same pack again.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm happy so far, but the substitutions are just going to be crucial. And if Moyes waits till like the 80th minute again, we'll be done for. I'd switch Noble off at the hour for sure. And Rice, I've got to say tonight, is looking a little bit off the pace in the middle of the park.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think he's influencing the game yet. But we're okay. I mean, Sky have got it down as Tottenham 3 attempts and us none, but I don't think Sky can count, to be honest with you. I don't think they know what they're doing in that regard. But we're okay.
Good stuff. Let's have a quick recap.
Right.
Go on, Gnome.
Interesting teasing cross from Fredericks.
Mm-hmm.
Lloris came out and sort of gathered it. That's what we need when we actually get the ball off them. We need to sort of find a player and actually break forward with that intensity, that pace that we have been. A few times in the last 10 minutes where a Tottenham attack's broken down, but it's gone out, and as I mentioned earlier on, it's come straight back. The clearance is, let's just get rid of it and think about it afterwards. Whereas, we won that and there was an attacking intent. So need a little bit more of that.
I think what's actually interesting that I picked up from that attack, just watching it come in, Fornals actually won the ball on the edge of our penalty box, and he's made an 80 or 90-yard run, and he's actually the main target by the time the ball comes in again from Fredericks. Which is, again, sort of going back to his desire, possibly of the midfield trio. He looks the most up for it and keen to get a result tonight, DL?
Possibly. My stream went.
Okay.
I've got the circle going on at the moment.
Let me go over to Rio then. Rio, Fornals, happy with his efforts so far?
Oh, definitely. I think both him and Bowen have showed so much intent, a lot of intelligence as well. So that run was an absolute gem. If they'd been able to pick him out, then it would have been like an absolute fantastic move by him. Run. He's a very underrated player. He was playing really well when Moyes come in, and inexplicably got removed from the side. So it must have knocked his confidence. But he's come in tonight and he's shown his worth here.
Pinky, Pablo Fornals came in at the start of the season. Quite a big fee, £24 million. A lot of people were quite critical of him for the first few games. But is it fair to say he's been one of our better players in this recent, not particularly good spell?
Absolutely. And clearly playing to instructions. Bristlehammer has picked up on it from where he's watching. And he's pointed out that he's actually dropping into a left-back role every time we don't have the ball.
Yeah,
so he's getting through an enormous amount of work up and down that flank. Really is doing the job of two players, and a good disciplined performance from him. So that just shows the benefit of having some youth in the team.
Yes, as Rio rightly said, now the introduction of Fornals at the beginning of the season, and of course Bowen. In January, 2 players, I think Fornals is 25 now, Bowen 23, lots of youth. I mean, this No, this goes back to something we've had an issue with for the last couple of seasons, isn't it? The lack of youth and sprightliness, perhaps, in the starting 11.
The players coming in for a nice 1 year break. Sorry, just Tottenham had a corner which we didn't really clear, and it's gone back for another corner there. Yeah, the sort of people who are 33, 34, who used to be good once, coming in to basically just to top up their pension pot, really. There's been a few of those.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Spurs got another corner anyway, on their left, their right. And dealt with not entirely convincingly, but it's going to come straight back. Nobody sort of forward really to put the Tottenham defenders under pressure, so it's come back and it's on the left with Song.
Another corner again.
DL,
all comes to nothing. So goal kick. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, back on.
DL, are we happy with the way we've dealt with Tottenham set pieces so far tonight? This has often been a criticism aimed at West Ham in the Moyes reign.
I think it's a case of 6 and 2 threes. We've dealt with them okay, but they haven't been particularly dangerous either. So I think they're kind of cancelling each other out a bit there. I'm still tempted, sort of kind of biting my nails, although I ain't, but you know what I mean. I think if they click, Spurs click, then they're going to score, and it's going to be, yes, I know I'm pessimistic. I've supported us for too bloody long. Yeah, I'm still nervous. I'm still nervous about this. I can see what we're trying to do, but I can see what Spurs are trying to do, and they just seem to be doing it that bit better. And if anyone's going to get it right, it's going to be them rather than us, I think.
We're just looking at Jose Mourinho on the bench in our delayed feed, and he looks just utterly bored at the moment, Rio. It looks like he'd rather be somewhere else.
Can you blame him? He's in N17. It's an absolute dump. Get him out of there.
Yeah, you do. It's an interesting move that for Mourinho and Tottenham, really, wasn't it? I mean, having failed utterly at Manchester United to kind of, I mean, and he's got big shoes to follow, or to fill, should I say, Pinky, in the shape of Pochettino, who achieved, in relation to Spurs' recent trophyless years, sort of got them to the Champions League final, did so well. Do you think Mourinho can succeed at Tottenham?
No chance. I mean, we were talking about the age of players a couple of minutes ago, and a boring stat for you, but the average age of a squad that wins the league across Europe is about 27.1 years. Mm-hmm. So once you go beyond that, then a squad tends to be in decline, and what is actually inherited there.
Very good position. My stream has failed, so somebody tell me what's going on.
Pinky, over to you.
Yeah, Son's just scored. Picked him out as the danger man at the start, and ball came across. He cut inside the defender, pulled the trigger, and low down to Fabianski's right. 1-0 Tottenham.
How many times have we seen this with West Ham? Within the last couple of minutes of a half, you seem to be cruising towards.
VAR.
I think he's offside here.
Okay, let's have a look.
We're just doing it now. So
I've got no feed at all at the moment. I'm going to have to reboot my box in a second, so I'll wait for you.
Whether or not Frederick's pass is keep it. Oh, he looks offside.
They're doing the grid lines. He's offside. It's got to be.
Was it?
Have West Ham escaped?
Yeah,
what do you think?
For confirmation.
Okay, Rio, over to you. Have we got away with it?
Yeah, I mean, they're doing the grid lines. Son's foot is clearly over the line. And we were reprieved. No goal. But we failed to deal with that cross that came in. It filtered out to Son, and it finished really well. But it was offside.
Pinky, couldn't have been much closer, could it? We're talking literally the width of a foot offside there.
Well, actually, it was, if Fredericks had an arse the size of mine, that would have been a goal. It's only his kept us in it there. But, just to go back to the point I was making there about Mourinho, I think he's inherited a bit of a poison chalice at Tottenham. Yep. I don't think they'll have the money. Or certainly Levy won't want to spend it. and that's a squad in decline at Tottenham Hotspur as well. So I think Pocahontas got out at the right time.
DL, VAR hasn't particularly worked in West Ham's favour this season, has it? About time we got to the rub of the green.
We did. I mean, to be honest, if we scored that and it was, quite literally the width of a pinky arse, I'd be pretty fuming about it, to be honest. It's too clear. I've never been a fan of VAR. It's too clinical. It should be daylight. All right, we've got off the hook on this one, but no, if it was against us, I'd be spitting feathers, to be honest.
The point, I think, is, thank you, DL. The point, of course, is going back to what...
Oh, he's missed it. He's
Pinky?
missed it. Yeah, Lucas has missed an absolute sitter. I'd have banged it in with Matoja, no question. They're getting a lot of change out of Fredericks down his flank. Ball crossed in, and there was Lucas, 12 yards out. He's got to score from there. And he just shanks it 4 yards wide. I mean, yeah.
West Ham are living on the edge at the moment, and once again, it's such a common thing, isn't it? How often do we see West Ham do this right at the end of a half? Concede. Is it a lack of concentration? Is it a lack of energy? What do we think, Gnome?
I think that I'm going to throw my skybox out the window in a minute. We seem to turn off, don't we? Every
we do.
On 44 minutes and 30 seconds. I don't know how long it's gone. It just normally takes me 5 minutes to reboot this thing when it happens. But lack of concentration. I can remember one goal going in just after they announced the fourth official has announced that there will be, and it's almost like the announcement put them off. It was in the past. So I've got my little green light on, so I shall be back in the land of the living very shortly. I missed all
the Lucas miss. Good God. We were off the hook there. That was absolutely shocking miss.
Yeah. Yes, it's possibly the best chance of the night so far, and West Ham very, very fortunate, Pinky, to be about to go into the half-time break on level terms still.
Yeah, I think that's fair comment. I mean, overall, I think we went off very well. First quarter of an hour, I felt we were doing the right thing. So I'd say tactically, Moyes had his tactics right. The problem he's not quite got the personnel to do it in terms of fitness levels and physique. I commented earlier that Noble, there's not a chance he'd last the pace the way he started, and that's proven to be the case. And as soon as he stopped doing the running role from an advanced midfield position, we've lost any kind of forward momentum. I'd make a change right now at half-time. I'll take off the captain, and I'd actually bring on Jack Wilshere because the role is set up for Wilshere. We just haven't got the legs at the minute to do it.
We are at half-time. West Ham have survived two very, very serious scares there right at the end of the first half. Firstly, that disallowed goal from Son, where he was no more than 12 to 18 inches offside. And then an absolute gilt-edged opportunity for Lucas that Pinky says he would have scored with his Todger, no doubt. We can't vouch for that, of course, but we'd have to believe him. But as it is, West Ham are into the break on level terms. And we go again in 15 to 20 minutes. So before we get back, quite a few things what I'd like to talk about. Firstly, let's just roll back to earlier this evening. There was another Premier League match before this one started. And Leicester City, flying high in the Premier League, looking good for a Champions League spot, held at home by Brighton and Hove Albion. Brighton, who defeated Arsenal on Saturday, I think it was Saturday, scoring another very valuable point on it. Now, Rio, I think it was you who pointed out last week in the Mod Pod podcast what a difficult run-in Brighton had. But they're the form team so far, aren't they, in these latest tranche of fixtures?
Absolutely. They've not read my mantra. They're not tuned in with my please balls up like we want you to kind of attitude. It's a bit of a worry, but even looking at the table now, they're only 6 points above us. One win for us tonight, it's only a 3-point gap. They've still got some tough games coming up. They've got, I think it's Chelsea, City, they're still up there for the taking, but the confidence is rising. So they're going to go in a little bit more confident, a little bit more up for it, but they're not out of the woods yet.
Brighton's remaining fixtures for the rest of the season are as follows. They host Manchester United next Tuesday. Before this, it's a massive clash. They go to Norwich thereafter. The next two games after that are both home games for what that's worth, against Liverpool and Manchester City. They don't come much harder than that. They're at Southampton after that before they host Newcastle. And on the final day of the season, they travel to Burnley. Now, Burnley possibly look even worse than Arsenal at the moment, I think. Pinky, did you happen to tune into their game at Man City last night?
Yeah, I did. And I think, in fairness, Manchester City were exceptional last night.
Yeah.
I thought young Phil Foden was sensational. I mean, there's no other word for it. He was outstanding. And what you saw last night was the difference between a team that had played a couple of matches, essentially, and one that was playing its first match. And I keep referring back to it. This is all still the pre-season warm-up games, essentially what we're watching here now. And we see it season after season. You know, we'll play some no marks from overseas and win 5-0 because we're a week further ahead in training than they are. It's that kind of feel. So City were good last night. Burnley have got all sorts of issues. I won't comment on the obvious one, but clearly they've got some money problems. They're going to release a load of players. I don't think that Dyche had a full squad available to him last night, and probably not a happy camp. But ultimately, if you're Burnley Football Club and you're in mid-table in the Premier League, what's not to like?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, if you look at it, they're 11th at the moment with 39 points. I think effectively they could lose every game. I think they've got 8 games to go, and they're still going to be safe, aren't they? So nothing really to play for. That, of course, could be a factor in the relegation battle. We have to play them, of course, in the coming weeks. No, many thoughts on Brighton. We've just been saying there they've taken 4 points from 2 on paper particularly difficult games against Arsenal, and Leicester.
As we've seen, I think they've come across 2 teams who've not emerged from the break well. Arsenal have just looked awful, haven't they, since we came back. Leicester haven't been the normal Leicester as well. Before we came on air, I've been swapping messages with a work colleague who lives in Leicester, who's a season ticket holder up there, and she's not been very impressed at all with them since they come back. And I must admit, I watched that. It was Brighton, very well organised, made themselves difficult to break down, and Leicester didn't seem to have the intelligence to actually break them down. Sorry, I'm just now seeing the disallowed goal for the first time. That is close, isn't it?
It's a shocker, isn't it? It's a shocker. Rio, is that just looking at the results so far since we returned? Is that sort of indicative of teams really just not being the fact that we've seen so many goalless draws? I think so far. I don't know the stats and how that compares to the rest of the season, but it does seem like an awful lot of goalless draws and also games with a paucity of chances. You agree with what Pinky says, that these are really warm-up games that you know, the teams are just feeling their way back into it?
Absolutely. There's a lot of nervousness. People are getting used to their surroundings again, playing in different atmospheres. Just feeding their way back into professional football, and the only thing, it's on a bigger stage. There should be training games. They've been pretty much taken as that by a lot of, especially in the first game, people back, and it shows. It's evident. You know, there's so much nervousness and caginess. It's not a great advert for the game at the moment.
No, it's not, is it? It's not been particularly enthralling viewing so far, with perhaps the exception of, as Pinky rightly referred to, City last night, Manchester City, who looked exceptional. But just having a quick look at the bottom of the Premier League table where we are now. Brighton played the extra game following their earlier fixture tonight and have 33 points from 31 games. They're 4 points behind Southampton, who I think we all assume are safe on 37. And then we've got, you know, it's still so tight. Watford, 30 games played, 28 points. West Ham and Bournemouth level on points, 27 with 30 played. Villa with 26 points from 30 games. And then Norwich sort of slightly adrift still with 21 points from 30. Having seen what we've seen, Pinky, have you changed your view at all on the 3 teams that you feel are destined for the Championship next season?
No, not at all. You know, I'm of the view that it's for us, it's going to go to the final game of the season. I think it'll boil down to ourselves or Aston Villa. And, you know, with the caveat that as long as Troy Deeney stays on the pitch for Watford, they'll do enough. Brighton, I think, are home and hosed now. I think they've had 2 great results, terrific results for them. But I think ourselves and Villa will be slugging it out to July the 26th, and it will be winner takes all. I think Bournemouth are gone. I think Norwich are gone. There's something not right at Bournemouth at the minute.
Yeah.
Players there, they're not doing it for Eddie Howe. And even if they do survive, I'd expect him to be a casualty in the managerial merry-go-round. They're not listening to him anymore. And I think Bournemouth are a club with some issues at the minute.
Gnome, do we think that Eddie Howe has perhaps overstayed his welcome then at Bournemouth? Cited for all the big jobs not so long ago. We wanted him. Even Tottenham were linked with him. He decided to stay at Bournemouth out of loyalty. Should he have gone?
You sometimes get managers and players who are right at one particular place. He did have a spell up at Burnley a few years ago, and it never quite worked out. And, you know, when he came back to Bournemouth, it was, you know, it just seemed like, right, he fitted there, fitted like a comfortable shoe there. So whilst he may not stay at Bournemouth, I wonder if he'll do anything at any other place. Yeah. It's just one of those. I'm trying to think of other examples of it over the years, but sort of on a live thing. Give me half an hour, I could probably think of a few. But he obviously is. Bournemouth is. It's kind of in his image. He's been given. This is how I want the club to be run, and so he's now getting to a situation where the players he's got there clearly aren't doing, and as Pinky says, it doesn't look right there at the moment. So the Bournemouth ownership, who not noted for being heavy on the sort of firing trigger, he'll need backing I was going to say in the summer, whatever happens in the transfer market, to get a squad for next season. It's either going to be that they'll back him, or they'll say, "Well, thanks." If he gets to stay, there will be a lot of departures. I can see that in Bournemouth. We were talking about Burnley earlier on and the problems they have.
Yes.
Yesterday that in these days of being able to name 9 subs on the bench, they could only name 7, and 2 of those were keepers. So I mean, we've had occasions where we've been short on subs, but it was quoted yesterday. It was that Dyche giving a message to his owners.
Yes, and Dyche, of course, another one that you were talking about, managers that had had the opportunity to mould teams, in their image, and I guess Dyche would fit that bill quite well, wouldn't he?
Yeah, and again, if he were to leave Burnley, would he be? I mean, obviously, in a town as small as Burnley, etc., its mid-table is looked on as being not success as such, but an acceptable reward for a club with their financial means, for example. So, would he be any good elsewhere? Not entirely sure.
Wouldn't we kill for a bit of that success right now at West Ham?
Yeah,
to be mid-table.
That's. I mean, you look at Burnley, you look at Bournemouth, as was perhaps. You look at Wolves. What they've got is they've got a sort of club focus. They've got a plan.
Mhm.
This is what we're going to do with this club. These are the sorts of players we're going to sign. That's the way we're going to play. And when we sign players, we'll find players who can come in and do that job the way we want it done. Whereas us, we'll pick a decent striker who plays well alongside a strike partner and ask him to play alone up front. It's because there's no coherent sort of plan from the top. I'm going to sound like Preview Percy now, but I think he's got a point there for once.
Yeah, troubling times. Welcome back, DL. Good to see you back. Now, before we carry on, there is something very important that I think we need to mention that took place today. As many of you know, recently and very, very sadly, possibly West Ham's biggest fan, Dennis Lapine, passed away, and today saw his funeral. And although only a very small number of very close friends and family were allowed to attend, I think there were hundreds of supporters who turned up outside his house to wish him farewell after the funeral. And if you haven't seen the videos on Twitter, go and have a look, because it's very, very heartwarming to see so many Hammers, turn up for that event. Dennis, I didn't know Dennis personally, but I understand what a huge character he was at West Ham. As you will not find anyone to say a bad word about Dennis, and he's gone before his time, and he was a very, very big part of the club. Used to work at the club, used to run the Hornchurch coaches, and very, very sad. But so I just wanted to mention that before we come out for the second half. Rest in peace, Dennis, and thank you for everything you've done for the supporters over the years. Coming back to tonight's game,
absolutely.
Just want to have a quick look at the subs bench before the second half starts. Pinky, you said already you think around the hour mark we're looking. You'd like to see Moyes make a few proactive changes tonight. Rio, on Saturday for the Wolves Eyes Up Mother Brown feed, you mentioned that that was one of his biggest, or if not his biggest Achilles heel, Moyes, that he reacts rather than acts first. Looking at the bench, we've got Randolph in goal, Ben Johnson, Ogbonna back on the bench tonight, which is interesting because if he's fit, why didn't he start? Jack Wilshere, Pinky, that's your man you think should be coming in for Noble. Yarmolenko also, we've mentioned perhaps coming on and giving us a bit of pace and something up front. Felipe Anderson hasn't done it this season. Could he come on and be an impact sub? Manuel Lanzini, I think we mentioned on Saturday against Wolves, he was partially responsible for the first goal, with a rather lazy tackle in the build-up. Zonde Silva, another rookie, and Ayeti is our only other real sort of main substitute as a striker. Preview Percy mentioned him in his match preview today, saying that he just doesn't get an opportunity to play, but obviously hasn't impressed. DL, we've just kicked off the second half. Who would you like to see come on, and when do you think Moyes is going to make his first subs?
I think Moyes is going to react again rather than proact. I'm in agreement with Pinky. Noble should come off in the hour. To be honest, I think maybe Wilshere should have even come on now for Noble. Noble faded badly at the end of the first half. I know we're 40 seconds behind here, but already, I'm seeing here that Spurs were on the attack. They went right through us. I don't even think we've had the ball yet, have we? And yes, also stick on Yarmolenko. I think I wouldn't say he's got a point to prove, but he can be dangerous. The Everton game last season, he was outstanding. So he's got it in him. He's had a long time out, like all of them, but also before the lockdown, he was out for injury. He's not going to get match fitness. He ain't going to get no better if he's getting splinters up his backside. So he needs game time. Maybe bring him on later on in the game as well. Other than that, there's not much more we can do, is there, at the moment? I don't think we've got the game changes, as you said, Anderson, Lanzini, not having the best of seasons. If they pull their fingers out, they can be game changers. Tonight, no, not so sure.
Okay, thank you. Pinky, still sticking with what you suggested in the first half. Wilshere for Noble at around the hour mark?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, possibly even sooner. I'd have been tempted to do it at half time. You know, this is a game that we cannot afford to go behind in. You know, the first goal means you won't lose tonight. That's of that I'm clear about.
Yeah.
But having said all of that, you know, if it stays this way, this will be a terrific result for us and a disastrous one for Tottenham Hotspur. I mean, they had, you know, hopes and ambitions to be playing in Europe again next season.
Yeah.
Looking at the league table, the way it stands at the minute, 31 games gone, 43 points. Europe doesn't beckon for them, and for Tottenham, with their enormous requirement to generate matchday income from additional games, this is a bad result for Tottenham. If it stays this way, I'd suggest a good result for West Ham United. So I think Mourinho's the one that's going to make the running here. I just hope that Moyes trumps him and makes the proactive change first.
Excellent. Thank you. Gnome, Spurs Champions League finalists not so long ago. Currently level on points with Crystal Palace this season. That's some fall from grace, isn't it?
Yeah, shame, isn't it? Oh, sorry, just as a shot come from outside a few yards wide, though, I think it was Dyer coming forward. And
it was Dyer.
Yeah, and it was Dyer. Let's have a look, see how far away it was. Yeah, a little closer than it was. It's. I do know people who support Liverpool who are sort of going on about their World Club Championship. And I pointed out our World Cup came as beating some countries. It wasn't something we qualified for by beating Spurs. And I think they rode their luck on the way through to that final. That's a once in a lifetime. I think they were punching above their weight in qualifying for the Champions League, and we're seeing a bit of a return to normality. Cross came from the right. Kane tried to flick it past Fabianski, and it's gone out for a goal kick, I think. But again, balls played inside. Fornals was in the left back position there. It was played inside him, and that's happened a few times. That's a bit worrying. But yeah, I think the Europa thing should be that it really ought to be their ambition, and of course it's much funnier for the rest of us, because them having had a sort of taste of Champions League, now they're not likely to get there. It is quite funny for the rest of us. Kane's just gone into the book for a nasty little he's just left his foot in there, and something he does time and time again. Him and Song are quite good at that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's the third player by the looks of it in the book tonight. Then the first Spurs player, in the first half we had Fornals booked in the 14th minute, Noble in the 25th, and as I say, that's the first Spurs player to go in. We're actually, I think we might be further behind now on the feed than previously in the first half, because I've just seen. You're where? Sorry.
50-49. Bowen's just had an awful shot.
Okay.
Go miles wide and high.
Okay.
It was a good little build up to it, but optimistic shot at the best of times, that, and I wish he hadn't tried it, to be honest.
Yeah, so just looking at that Kane booking a little bit late on Declan Rice there, as you say, leaving the boot in. Bowen, maybe not a brilliant shot, but Rio, it's something to hold on to, perhaps. We haven't really shown much since the second half started, have we?
Yeah, it's our first bit of attacking intent in the second half. It's just something to build on, really. Getting to their half, make them think a little bit. My worry at the moment is Antonio. He's been a little bit isolated. I haven't really seen much of him since that early chance. And is he going to run out of steam? He's doing a lot of running around up front. No one around him to help. That's my other worry. I think he could be another one who could be hooked to about 60.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And were that the case, were you David Moyes, who would you replace him with?
I think the only one for me who really could take his place is Yarmolenko. Maybe push Bowen more centrally and put Yarmolenko out on the wide.
Yeah, this is interesting. I mean, Bowen, we haven't seen. I mean, we understand at Hull he kind of played those two roles sort of side by side as a wide man and as a sort of more traditional front man. He certainly seems to have the ability to score the goals. DL, do you think that's a possible option for the rest of the half?
I'd like to see it. Looking at the forum, Nosebleed, he's saying to switch to 4-3-3 and replace Noble with Anderson, which would be interesting. I'd like to see Anderson through the middle more, to be honest. I don't think he's too cut out to be on the wing. So it'd be either Anderson or Bowen going centrally. I think he's made a good shout there. For Anderson.
Oh,
no,
that was unlucky. There was some nice little interplay there, nice little passes. Just the final one from Antonio just lacked about a foot on it that would have made a nice move. Promising here.
Oh, come on.
Oh.
Pinky, talk to me. What's going on?
Yeah, some really good, intricate, close passing out on the right flank by Noble, Bowen, and Antonio. All came across. Fornals, acres of space in the middle. I mean, he's got to score. You don't get many chances like that at the lane and make the keeper work, but he's shanked it wide and lacked composure there, and that's a real shame. Probably our best chance of the night.
Okay, I think we're just about to come up to it on my feed. We are about 30 seconds behind you, so I'm just watching that happen now. We saw Lucas miss an absolute sitter for Tottenham just before half time. We're looking at this now. Yeah, he's come off it. Looks like it's come off his shin, doesn't it? If anything, didn't he score from a similar position to that against Oxford back at the other side of the year? Sorry, just before Christmas. Or maybe that was Wilshire. Actually, I'm thinking of. But real shame, and this is the man that we've said, Brio, Fornals, who'd probably looked our brightest player in the first half.
Yeah, it looks like a little bit of match sharpness is lacking. It's a shame. It's a shame.
Okay.
One thing just gone close. Shot from the edge of the box over the bar. Fabianski kind of withdrew his hand, so he knew it was going over. But sort of chance you don't really want to be giving Kane that sort of space to turn and make the shot. So just need to be a little bit aware there.
DL, the game's beginning to open up, it seems now. That's, a few chances in the last few minutes.
Yeah, there has. There was a long distance shot from Antonio that the keeper easily got. Weren't really a shot. But that Fornals one, good Lord, that was disgraceful. That was actually worse than the Lucas one in the first half, in my humble opinion. Should have buried that. Should have buried that hard.
Big chance, yeah. I mean, as Pinky rightfully said, you don't get that many opportunities, at Tottenham. But are we, Pinky? Are we teetering towards a goalless draw here? Do you think? Not another one, surely.
There's a goal in this game. There's certainly a goal in this game, and we need fresh legs, and we need them now because we've actually got Tottenham a little bit on the back foot at the minute.
Yeah.
So we're doing okay, but I just think the introduction of a little bit more of energy in the front half of the field may pay dividends. And Moyes has got to be more positive here now. This is a game we could win here still. There's 56 minutes gone. Mm-hmm. It's 0-0. Let's try and win the game.
Yes, I mean, fortune favours the brave, as they say. Sorry, Gnome, over to you.
Yeah, just talking about Fornals. He's just given away a free kick. It was a free kick, but it's noticeable. He's snapping at people. He's trying to get when somebody's on the ball, if he's near them, he's actually going and making those challenges. And not the free kick as such. It's good to see, but Antonio's, that's another kicking in the on the ankle. Again, that was a yellow card in the first half when. And Spurs seem to be getting away with a couple of those.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Fornals has been covering a lot of ground.
Yep. Go on, Rio.
No, it seemed like the first half, Fornals was covering Cresswell for half the time.
Yeah.
Now he's popping up on the right-hand side, left-hand side. Now he's playing more centrally in the moment. He's everywhere.
Yeah, I wonder if that's perhaps Dio a case of...
Oh, great skill from Declan Rice there. Absolutely awesome.
Go, Pinky.
Super footwork from there. He's just danced around a player, lovely footwork, and for a player of his size, outstanding. Well played, Declan Rice.
Great stuff. We really need to see a bit more of our midfield, don't we? Just looking at the forum quickly, someone's saying, and actually this is quite a valid point, I think, we haven't seen a lot of Souček tonight, have we? Great game, or decent game on Saturday, but Pinky, he's been relatively quiet this evening.
He has. I mean, I was just thinking that, but maybe that's a good sign. You know, there are players that occasionally just go about their business quietly. You know, dare I mention in former happier times, Michael Carrick would have been such a player. And, you know, sometimes it's the players you don't notice that are doing the most.
Yeah, it's a very good point.
We never score from them, so and we haven't from that one. I was just thinking though earlier on, Souček's put a couple of sort of timely little challenges in, just quiet ones. But Spurs are looking dangerous on the break after the corner, and it's Kane's just wide. How could West Ham with that?
Oh dear, Harry Kane.
From our corner to their goal, it would have been.
Yeah, you know what? My mum would have scored that. She's been dead 10 years. I mean, honestly, that's a sitter. He's put it wide, and Mourinho is beside himself.
We had 4 against 3.
Yeah, he's got
that
to
really
make
should have been
people
1-0.
How does that compare with the Lucas chance in the first half, Pinky?
To be fair, it's a much harder chance than Lucas, but a striker of Kane's pedigree, you'd expect him to hit the target, and he's put it 6 inches wide. Which,
that was
at this level, that's enough. And
we've got the first substitution of the evening.
Okay, no.
First substitution of the evening. It's Lamela is on for Ali, who's looked like somebody who was sitting there on the side, looking very cheesed off with life. He hasn't really made much of an impression today. He hasn't registered on my radar in particular. So
okay.
First going back, that's the one sub so far.
Okay. One thing that's beginning to concern me a little bit, we seem to be getting cut open a little bit more than we did in the first half. Is this perhaps
Antonio.
Talk to me, Pinky. What's going on?
Well, lovely long ball for Antonio to run onto, very much like he did last year at the lane. It's great, great ball from Declan Rice off his left peg, and Antonio blasts it 5 foot over the bar, which is a shame. Again, lack of composure. I think he had a little bit more time than he realised.
I think we're beginning to see why neither of these sides have won a game for so long, given all these chances that keep going awry. Rio, once again, Moyes not the first to act with his substitutes.
No, it's no surprise. I've got to say, Ali was very much anonymous tonight. I didn't realise he was playing, to be honest.
Yeah.
We're actually coming to the game a bit more now. Their little moment. We're pushing forward. So I think Moyes might be right, just to give it another 5 or 10 minutes, just to see how this phase of play develops.
That ball from Rice to Antonio, though, what a beauty!
That was superb.
Cracking ball.
Yep. Thank you, Rio. Just a quick mention of the guys. Hello to everybody who's watching on YouTube, who's joined us for the live stream. Temp Name, Chris Dalby, Chris Green, Dara O'Sullivan, even Mouldy Potato, who's a Spurs fan. I'm not quite sure why he's watching our feed, but welcome one and all nonetheless. We are an hour in. We are 2/3 of the way through the game. It is still Tottenham 0, West Ham United 0. Pinky has said it's a result that will be better for West Ham. I think we'd all be in agreement with that. What do we see happening for the next half hour, Gnome? Are you ready to change your prediction of a 1-1 draw?
I'll stick with it, although I may not have the right score. Lamela's just gone through there on the left, and Balbuena was a bit lucky. He stayed on his feet. Balbuena was kind of in the vicinity. Lamela stayed on his feet and put the ball at the side netting. If he'd gone down, I think maybe after VAR that would probably have been given as a penalty. But thankfully he didn't, and fair play to him.
Slightly. Sorry, I'm just going to say a slightly poor touch from Balbuena that allowed Lamela to get in there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Lamela's been getting a lot of space since he came on, and need to, as I say, it's one of these ones. Let's hope it's not another case of the substitution making the difference as it did the other day.
DL, was that a penalty if Lamela goes down there?
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt, in this day and age, he nudged him in the back. Fair play to the Spurs man. He stayed on his feet. But no,
Yep.
I agree. If he'd gone down, mate, that would have been curtains.
Rio, agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Marino would be spitting feathers if he didn't go down.
Yes, I mean, and again, the culprit there was Balbuena, who just seconds earlier not conceded possession, but you know it was a poor touch that allowed Lamela to get in and have that opportunity. Is it time for Ogbonna, perhaps? No, could he come in and, if he's fit, of course, should we be looking to make a change? And it's too late. Talk to me, Gnome. Talk to me.
I think it may be an own goal there. I think corner came across. I see it bobble about. And it's in the back of the net. Souček's the one looking very rueful. I'm waiting for him to show it again.
Okay.
But
Pinky, any thoughts immediately on that?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's come off Souček. He's unlucky. I mean, there's nothing he could do about it.
Basically hit him on the back of the foot and gone in. Nothing anyone could do about that. That's just a fluke.
The issue is what's leading up, what led up to that. I mean,
I'm just trying to look at that now. Yeah, the corner obviously the corner's been floated in from the right hand side. It's gone into the standard melee of defenders. DL, have you spotted anything there in particular?
It was a bit difficult to say, to be honest. I've only got I'm half and half on my monitor. I've got the zoom up.
Yeah.
I'm just seeing a replay now.
Oh, VAR is just checking something here.
I don't think it should have even got
possible
that far
handball.
anyway.
Okay, Gnome, talk to me. You've got the most advanced feed.
No, it's been thrown out. It's goal.
Okay.
They checked to see what it come off because in this current climate, it only has to brush a forward's hand and it's no goal. But clearly they didn't think there was any contact. So we've restarted. So
okay.
I did notice the Spurs player holding on to Noble there, though, stopping him from jumping.
Noble's
Yeah,
tapped letting down there.
Looking at that again, Rio, there's 3 Spurs players coming in to challenge for the ball. Noble's picking one of them up. Who's picking up the man coming in at the back?
It's West Ham all over, isn't it? You know, no one seems to know what was going on at all. I mean, it's very unfortunate. One of those things. It's a bit ironic where the game is opening up so much, gaps appearing everywhere. The goal comes via that route.
Yeah, I mean, we said, didn't we, a few minutes earlier, you know, that there is space beginning to be created in those, you know, deep in our defensive areas anyway. West Ham have got it all to do now, Pinky. We said that the first goal would be crucial, as it so often is. We haven't scored. You know, we're not famed for scoring lots of goals. Can we save it?
It's a big ask now. I mean, and now
Anderson's coming on.
Anderson. You know,
Okay.
now he sends for Anderson, and I'm afraid, you know, this is a substitution. You know, 6 or 7 minutes too late. I mean, it is. You know, as soon as Mourinho introduced Lamela, they had the advantage of the fresh legs, and had Moyes gone first, we may have had the advantage. But to leave it until you actually concede a goal and then make the change, I think it's criminal. I think it's negative by David Moyes. And I think it could prove to be very expensive for us now, because ultimately I'd have been looking at making 3 changes to try and win the game. Now what we're going to try and do is just salvage a point. I hope we do, but he's been overly cautious here, in my opinion.
Not looking good. We're just seeing the graphic on the screen there that states that in the 14 matches that West Ham have fallen behind this season, we've lost 14. So it's not looking particularly good, Gnome, at the moment.
So we've just got a free kick, and always laugh about professional footballers. Davis has just gone straight through Bowen, and it's a free kick and it's a yellow card all day long. But it's the protesting of innocence that always gets me when they do that. there was no question as to free kick, yellow card, free kick in a promising position, but Cresswell's looking at it. I don't. Yeah, it's wide, so I'm not really looking at a shot, perhaps. But I don't hold out too much hope with from set pieces. We don't look as if we got any idea going forward with them as usual.
Yeah, I'm quite enjoying the disdain that Paulson showed when dishing out that yellow card that Davis is remonstrating. Rio, can we whip this one in? Can someone pull off a bit of magic?
No, put you over to the far post and nothing happened. And they're just cleared. And they're going to try and hit us on the break now, I think.
Okay.
Oh, I was played from no
possession back. Fornells has it. Feet to Noble, out wide to Creswell. It's just like a little panel play. We're trying to build again. It's gone back to Fabianski.
Okay, not unusually. Dio, what are your thoughts? We've got just a little more than 20 minutes left to go. West Ham 1-0 down. Desperately need something from tonight's game. Can we get it?
No. I think we will now. He's left the subs too late. Looking at my feed, it's 68, so it's actual 69 minutes now. Changes. They should have been made at half time, if not a good 10 minutes ago now. We're doing okay-ish. We're looking a bit leggy. We need to freshen it up, but he's sitting on his hands at the moment.
Yeah.
Which is, I've got no idea.
I think that's a little more than Gnome's doing. He seems to have just trashed his laptop in sheer disgust at what he's seeing on the TV.
Okay,
there's two changes. Are you alive? Are you still with us, my friend? Are you okay?
Yeah, sorry about that. I've got it. This is coming through my phone, perched on top of the laptop, which is sat on my lap, funny enough. And if I move too quickly, the little magnetic thing that holds the phone doesn't. And so that's what. Let's have a look here. They're showing the goal again. Oh, okay. I don't know. I think that might have actually touched the Tottenham arm. Looking at that, it looks very close. Ooh.
We went to VAR though, didn't we? It was checked.
Yeah. They didn't take very long looking at it. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I just point out while we're having a drinks break here, Richie Rivet? No, this is not gin. This is actually water, my friend. So, cheers anyway, buddy. Welcome to the stream. 20 minutes left to go. Tottenham 1, West Ham 0. West Ham heading for yet another defeat under David Moyes. This would be number 9 in the last 12 games. That's unacceptable, Pinky, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, this is sleepwalking into a real problem here now. Tottenham have just slung on. Is it Beguine, you call him, who, as Gnome pointed out in the mod pod, he's got bags of pace. So they're now going to be running at us. And what I'd be asking is, why weren't we positive in putting on a bit of pace to have a go at Eric Dyer? You know, you want someone who'd actually have him backpedaling, put him under a bit of pressure, but we haven't even got that thought process.
Yeah.
We wait to go a goal behind and chase the game. I mean, it's poor. I think it's sending completely the wrong message to the players. It's poor, and we're probably looking down the barrels of a defeat here now. This is not good. This is not good.
Not good at all. Not good at all. Noble and Fornells have gone. Anderson and Lanzini on. You know, I suppose if you're looking at the bench and you're looking for someone to produce a bit of magic, perhaps that's who you were looking at. Pinky, you called it with Noble. Absolutely spot on, my friend there. You know, perhaps an extra 5 or 10 minutes, as we were saying, that it should have been. But yes, he's been given just a little more than an hour. And, you know, I guess at 33, 2 games within 3 or 4 days is just considered to be too much for a professional footballer these days. We've got, what have we got left? 3 subs left to go. Rio, what are we looking at? I suppose Yarmolenko really now, isn't he the only option we've got left to, you know?
Yarmolenko, Ajeti, but Ajeti, since he joined us, I think he's played less than 2 hours of first team football. So
yeah,
You can't really see him being given the opportunity at the moment.
No, it's not looking good. Dipping into the forum momentarily, just to have a quick look at what people are saying. I mean, the hand of dog agreeing with what we're all pretty much saying here about the Moyes substitutions and the lack of proactivity there. I wish Moyes would try to be proactive for once with his subs. Seems every game his subs are purely reactive. I think most of us are in agreement with that. It's difficult to defend his record there. SH says that any other team in the league are goal down with 20 minutes on the clock, you don't rule out a comeback. But with West Ham, especially Moyes West Ham, you know there's no chance. Utter garbage. This club deserves relegation. Harsh DL or fair in the circumstances?
I think it's pretty fair, to be honest. I wanted to give Moyes a fair shot on this second go, but to be frank, he's been absolute pony. Absolute pony. He just don't seem to have a clue what he's doing. A blind man can see we needed a bit of energy, a bit of pace at half time, if not 60 minutes at the latest. He sat back again. We've conceded again. No, it's not acceptable. He ain't the right man for the job. He never will be the right man for the job. We're deep in it. We're deep in it. I can't see us getting out of this. I can't see us surviving this season unless he can perform a miracle. But right now, I don't know. He probably couldn't even perform rigor mortis, to be fair. Shocking.
West Ham's 2 Premier League wins under David Moyes against Bournemouth, who are below us in the league, and against Southampton, who were just a few points above us when we played them. We just don't seem to be able to get anything off, certainly anyone in the top 10. Fortunately, we have a few of those teams near us in the remaining games. But Pinky, you said this on Saturday. You know, it doesn't matter. There's no easy games in the Premier League. Do we look like winning another game?
West Ham, which of course is the exception that proves the rule. But yeah, here tonight, I spoke about it, 20, 30 minutes ago, whenever it was, that at 0-0, it would be a good score for West Ham and a bad one for Tottenham.
Yeah.
And in those circumstances, Jose Mourinho took the initiative. He knew that, and he decided, I'm going to change something here now. And Moyes should have reacted immediately. He's left it to have dropped the goal. And now what we're doing is playing catch up. And we don't have it in us because at best, a goal, yes, we get us a point. Can anyone see 2 goals to get a win? It's not going to happen. And that is about a negative mindset from the manager. And we're rapidly approaching the point in the season where, never mind defeats, draws won't be enough. We'll need wins soon. And when that starts to kick in, we're in real trouble. Let's hope we can get something here tonight. But he's just lost the initiative, and it's such a shame.
It's almost a carbon copy in a way of Saturday's game, Rio. In that we're sitting there at 0-0, comfortable really, but the change hasn't come yet. Again, the change has come from the opposition manager. And Moyes has just not reacted until it's too late.
Definitely. On conversely, we just won a corner. Cresswell pulls it back to Anderson, who fires it wide. Yeah, no. I mean, I thought the change tonight possibly might have been the right time. I thought we was getting into the game, creating chances.
Yep.
But I'll say they jumped first. They made the change, and as Pinky said, the extra legs kind of told in the end. But and it's like the 2 players we just brought on, like Anderson and Lanzini. Both of them have not been in form the entire season. So we're looking at 2 bits of magic from players who just haven't performed at all. So perhaps it was time to give a Jetty with someone who's a bit hungrier, something to prove. Get in, let him loose, give him a run out. Yarmolenko just came back from injury. But when he has played before, he creates a bit of havoc. Try him.
Yeah, I'm just going back briefly there to the build up to that corner. I'm just wondering if Lanzini, if he had actually taken a bit of a gamble there, might have got on the end of that Antonio cross. I mean, he seemed to sort of come in at half measures, and I just wonder if he was hurtling in at full pace, he might have actually got something on the end of it. Doesn't matter anyway.
I think he's lost his bottle since his injury.
Yeah.
Not been
Yeah.
the same player.
Yes. I mean, he's not been the same player, Gnome, has he, since he came back, Lanzini?
Not really, no. Just say we've just won a free kick a few yards in from the corner flag. So it's sort of like a half corner, if you like, almost. So we'll just see what's going to happen here. Swung in and keeper made a mess and
Talk to me, Pinky. What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, ball swung across, ended up past the back stick. Ball pulled back to Bowen, who hit it first time on his left peg, forced a good save from Lloris. It was a good chance for West Ham.
Best chance of the night, would we say? Sorry.
Came off the post.
Okay. For those of us who are with our very slow streams, like myself and DL, we're just seeing the chance coming now. So perhaps we can take a second look at that for you as the cross just about to come in. Have a little drum roll. Swung in to the back post.
Oh,
yeah, Anderson.
Yes. Outside the post. So
it's a good one. But we need, you know, the Fornals chance, the Antonio shot glazed over the bar. Surely at some point we've got to start taking these chances if we're going to stay in this league, Rio, haven't we?
Absolutely. Now we can't keep like spurning things like this. I'm just like looking at it now. Antonio's looking a little bit leggy, so I think that he's the one who I'd change next. To be honest, I think Yarmolenko's got to come on and try and create that chaos theory that he brings.
We are rapidly approaching the final 10 minutes here. It's still Tottenham 1, West Ham United 0. West Ham are heading to yet another defeat unless we can pull something out of the bag. DL, if you're David Moyes now, what do you do?
Hang myself for being David Moyes. What do you do? What can you do now? As Rio said, stick on Yarmolenko. Just do anything. Just do anything to change it up. We've lost the game. We might end up with luck. I don't know why he's not played Wilshere. This is the perfect game for him. It's a good old English game. He's bringing on these Latin American fancy Dans who've obviously seen their day. You know, Wilshere might have bombed, but at least give it a go. You know, I'm baffled. I'm completely baffled by what is his game management tonight. Absolutely baffled. But it's David Moyes all over, isn't it? Really.
Yeah, thank you. Jack Wilshere, Pinky, you would have thought you would have been right up for this game, wouldn't you, as a former Arsenal player?
Absolutely. And at 0-0, if you make the change then, you're bringing him on to do something and actually win you the game. The problem is, what he's done is brought Anderson to save us a point.
Yep.
And it's kind of he's not really of the right mindset in terms of how he's approaching it. And you know, looking at Moyes every time the camera cuts to him, he's increasingly got that kind of 1,000-yard death stare of, I'm not sleeping at night, I don't know what to do, I've lost the plot. He's not throwing out signs of being a man in charge of events. He looks like a man who's a victim of circumstance rather than taking control. I'm now quite worried.
Negativity, didn't he? He does. He exudes negativity. Going back to the last decent season we had with Bilic, now there were times where he was making baffling substitutions, leaving them late. But the thing with Bilic is that he was a positive guy. You got the vibes from him. He was off his nut. But Moyes, he's just grey, isn't he? He's like the football equivalent of John Major. He's just awful.
Well,
Gnome, do we think
more
that...
worryingly for me tonight here now is, again, you've got a number of players who are clocking up an awful lot of minutes in what is essentially a pre-season, and we've got to go. You know, we're playing Chelsea on Saturday.
No,
going to do that.
Sorry, I'm just annoyed. We keep getting caught in possession, and Kane's now through here, and that's purely because it's 2-0. Antonio got caught in possession, asleep.
Game over.
Check for offside. It didn't look it to me, but yeah, it's happened time and time again. Antonio just had no awareness of what was around him, and no, he's onside. He's definitely onside. And it was basically he was between the two defenders. and you put those away all day long. Yeah.
Just looking at that now, does Antonio not deserve a shout there for someone coming in behind him?
I mean, I've got the volume turned up, so I couldn't see, I couldn't hear. But if he didn't get a shout, but even so, it was just his first touch. It was appalling, and you know, it's.
And we can't keep relying on these little things. Like, oh, we might
mind back to Saturday, and I mentioned the fact that, you know, our lack of a genuine striker, and saying that, to me, a striker is someone who 85 times out of 100, one-on-one against the keeper, is going to score. Once Kane was through there, did anyone at all have any doubt how that was going to end up?
Yeah.
Yet if the situation was reversed, which West Ham player on the field tonight would you put your mortgage on to bury that? And I don't think we've got one. And we're back to the same old problem.
Rio, that's it now, isn't it?
Yep, game over. It's just a bit of shocking awareness by Antonio. I mean, you just can't do that at this level. I'm lost for words, really. Absolutely lost for words with that.
Yeah, it's do you know what? It would be good. This is two live casts we've done now. We haven't even had a goal to celebrate. I'm just thinking not just the fact that we've lost both of these games. We've had not a single thing to cheer yet. I mean, it's not much to ask, is it? Come on, Moisey, give us a goal. But no, I mean that's almost certainly it now. DL, it's another game gone. That's going to leave us with 7 games left to play. It's getting a bit tight up down there, isn't it?
Tight. That ain't the word for it. Blimey, I've lost interest, to be honest. I'd quite happily turn it off. Go ahead.
Another free kick in a promising position fails to beat the first player again. Yeah, you've probably heard this before, haven't you? But
what would we do for a Payet again, eh? Just someone like that.
Nothing happens.
I'm going to start crying.
At this point, I'd just settle for a pie.
We're reduced to a 65-yard back pass from one of our own corners.
Yes,
and,
it's. I think one of the he's basically got no legs left whatsoever, and he'd have had trouble catching at the start of the game. Never mind 85 minutes in. So
and here's the difference. Tottenham now about to bring on Harry Winks, and Winks will just take control of the ball now, see the game out, and we'll just be chasing shadows now for the last 10. Better game management by Mourinho, and Moyes has been properly schooled here tonight. And if he's the answer, then we're not asking the right questions. We're in desperate trouble here.
He's only the answer to the question is if the question was who's available that we don't have to spend any money to get.
Yes, just looking at the a few comments on the YouTube feed. Awful defending. I think that sums it up. Actually, I don't think anything else needs to be said. I mean, we've said it since half time. West Ham have looked increasingly porous at the back as the half's gone on. We've been breached twice. It could have been 3 or 4, really. We've had chances, but it's just so worrying, DL, isn't it? I mean, you just can't see where a win's coming from, can you?
I can't see where a point's coming from, to be brutally honest. Can't see where a goal's coming from.
Well, yeah.
To a point now where I'm getting excited about a corner.
Yeah, Pinky, give us some hope. What can we do from here? Where is our salvation?
Well, I mean, our salvation's actually found at Villa Park, and they're actually worse than us. And this is going to be the classic season where 3 worst teams save us. But do we want to be going into that final day thinking, great, as long as we get a draw, we're safe? Because we know what's going to happen. And the problem with where we are on the league table, as soon as Villa pick up a win and we don't, I think they go above us.
Yeah.
Then the pressure will really start to pile on the players.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if we have that final game that final date, and we actually have to beat Villa to stay up, you wouldn't put much money on it.
No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't, and it's going to be very, very. Well, hopefully it doesn't come to that. No.
Sorry, I've just looked at Rice take a forearm in the face. Ref's given the free kick, but that was a little bit naughty. I'd have thought at least a yellow for that. It was a forearm smash right into his chops. Rice didn't make much of it. As yet another sort of forward move comes to nothing because we lose the ball and it has to go all the way back again.
Okay.
This is. Oh,
yeah, it's a naughty one. It's a very late one.
It's we need a striker. Bowen's just put a cross-come shot in that had Loris backpedaling a little bit, but only so he could catch it. It was.
Yeah, I mean, talking of strikers, I mean, Pinky suggested the theory at the weekend that maybe we won't see Sebastian Haller ever again, quite possibly.
Well, that wasn't quite what I was saying. I was suggesting his current absence may be financial related.
Yeah.
And I have a sneaking feeling that when the Premier League money arrives again on July the 1st, as it always does, Haller will suddenly and miraculously become fit again, because I suspect we can then pay Eintracht Frankfurt the next chunk of money. And if I'm wrong, I'll repeat, I apologise to the chairman, but I'm dubious as to how Haller is suddenly out. And this so-called hip injury, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it at all. I think there's a story there somewhere.
Another hopeful ball goes to nothing from Anderson. And again, we're getting cut apart on the break here. And that's a great challenge back by Rice. We're getting cut apart by one of the most average teams you'll ever see in this Premier League. They're not very good. And it just shows how bad we are at the moment, that we're making a very average team look almost adequate.
Okay, thank you. And thank you, Pinky, for the clarification of your earlier point there. Apologies for misquoting you ever so slightly.
No. I liked it, actually. That's even more sensationalist. So, do it all you want.
Okay. If I could just touch briefly on the prediction league, no one's got the score right tonight. But Rio, if there's another Tottenham goal, you're going to get maximum points, my friend. So every cloud.
I don't want them.
We are teetering towards defeat. We're in injury time now. It's Tottenham 2, West Ham 0. Is it still 2-0 or is there a third goal there, Gnome?
No, just Bowen's got in a proper, decent position and basically his legs have gone and now Tottenham are in the attack.
Okay.
And it's just gone the right side from our point of view of the net. But no, that was typical. Bowen did his cutting in and it looked for all the world as he was gearing up for a shot.
Yeah.
And then the famous Bambi on ice impersonation came along and Tottenham were on the break again. That just basically sums today up. And as does Antonio just running it with a blind alley and losing the ball again. And, Tottenham bring it forward again.
And I've just had 5 minutes on of this pain, of this absolute dirge.
Yeah. What I'd like to know is
something
to the owners, because they've been full of stuff about triumphant stuff in the not too distant past about celebrating 10 glorious years of their ownership and everything. I'd like to know if they actually think what we're seeing now is in any way, shape or form acceptable. Because I don't.
No, I think most fans and onlookers would agree with you there. Chris Dalby on the YouTube chat certainly agrees. He says, clueless management, players that know when we are relegated, they will be leaving, which is what they want. I'm just glad you all recognise we are in the deepest of merd. No way are we staying up. Very somber thought to end the game with, DL. Is Chris Dalby right?
Ain't somber, it's brutal reality. I am. I'm kind of speechless, which is quite unusual for me. That what I've witnessed over the past 2 games, it's been diabolical. It's not even been like we've given it a go and we've been outplayed. We've just been, excuse the language, monumentally shit each time, and it ain't acceptable. It's not acceptable. The club's rotten from top to bottom, and I'm quite ashamed to be a West Ham fan right now, to be honest, because this ain't the West Ham I love. Even in our bad seasons, we had something to smile about, but apart from New Year's Day, we've had nothing to smile about this season. It's been awful, absolutely awful. And it's from the top.
Yeah, absolutely. Very difficult to take as a West Ham fan watching these last 2 games. There's absolutely no doubt about that. Rio, David Moyes especially, but most managers talk about the positives they can take from defeats. Have you seen any positives in the last 2 matches?
Not Saturdays. Tonight we've shown a lot more work rate. We covered a lot more grounds. We created chances which we didn't do Saturday. At the end of the day, we're just not good enough. We're getting beaten by an average sides. Okay, the first goal was very unfortunate, but they were still cutting us apart at will far too regularly than you can afford to do at this level. Yep,
fair point. I don't think anyone would argue with that. Quick look at the forum as we're in the closing seconds of the game. Bryant 4114 says, referring to the relegation season of under Avram Grant, excuse me, at least in that season we had Scott Parker doing everything he could to keep the team up. This team, just an incredible lack of talent and chemistry. The sheer amount of players we have on the books that are unplayable at this level.
Oh, should have been 3.
Pinky, over to you.
Yeah, I mean, a lovely ball played into the corridor of uncertainty. And Kane was inches away. I mean, he's, you know, if he'd been fully fit and match fit, that would have been the 3rd goal. And it really is desperate stuff now for us, I'm afraid. Desperate.
I mean, we're very lucky. Tottenham aren't very good, really. I think, you know, shudder to think what a half decent side would have done on occasion tonight. But yeah, it's so demoralising because, you know, we got ourselves into the game and yet again we go one behind, and you know, it's any slight reaction is kind of rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. Really, it's, you know, there you go, final whistle.
There you go,
and that's it, and we're done.
You know, and you've got players out there, all of whom know we haven't got a genuine recognised striker on the pitch. So every single one of them knows that 1 goal will be difficult, 2 could prove to be impossible. And the manager's reluctance to take the initiative to push on and try and actually make the difference and be brave, ultimately, in my opinion, cost us there tonight, because Mourinho at 0-0, he was staring down the barrels of a bad result. He was brave, he made the choice, he chucked on Lamella, and he got the rewards. Moyes, on the other hand, was just clinging on with hope, no real game plan, and as soon as the goal went in, the game was up. And I'm afraid there's 2 managers there, both, dare I say, in the twilight of their careers, but one has still got just enough winning mentality to pull a rabbit out the hat. The other one, I'm afraid, his days are done. And Moyes is desperately drowning, I'm afraid. He's all over the place.
It's looking very difficult to see anything other than Moyes taking West Ham towards the Championship right now. 2 games, 4 goals conceded, no goals scored. I suppose, you know, as Rio rightly said, we've looked a little bit brighter tonight. You know, Bowen did have that opportunity where he hit the post, and you know, it's just the way it goes. A couple of inches either way, it could be a goal. I think it was 1-0 at the time. Was it still when he had that chance? But you know, it really is another case, I think, Gnome, isn't it, that we just haven't created enough. As I said earlier, the defence has looked porous, especially in the second half. We've left far too much space at the back for Tottenham to attack, especially when you've got a striker of the quality of Harry Kane. You give him those sort of opportunities. As Pinky rightly said, he's not going to miss it going through like that. Where do we go from here?
It's down to the lake, I fear, to drown ourselves. Sorry, I couldn't read this. Sorry, it's just yeah. If we carry on like this, these live podcasts are going to sound the same every time, purely because we're watching the same every time. We've got no attacking options. When Haller's there, if we play someone alongside him, then we have something. Haller's not there. Groin injury, whatever the whatever conspiracy theory you want to add to it. But the fact is that it's like we haven't got a reserve striker. I mean, Jetty clearly is not wanted on voyage, sort of thing, and we'll probably not see him again in a first team shirt. He's on the bench because we're allowed someone extra on the bench, and it may as well be him. Antonio, playing him as an out-and-out striker, it just isn't working, as we've seen tonight. And it boils down to the way the club is run. It's the owners seem to want one thing, then the manager seems to want another thing and gets a third completely different thing. And we've got players who, playing in the wrong positions. We've got, we had Anderson on Saturday, was allegedly supposed to be playing up top alongside Antonio to give us a twin strike force. Well, if he was supposed to be doing that, he hit it bloody well. Yeah. And it's, you could hear Moyes was telling Anderson to get up, get up, get up. And, it's not Anderson's natural game, but it should have at least tried it. I don't know. It needs a fundamental root and branches change and everything within the club, and that's a long-term thing. And in the meantime, as we said, we need Moyes to actually be a little bold. We can't afford to be sort of hoping we're not going to let another goal in. They've just showed the league table. We're only one goal different from Bournemouth now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've just let in two to a side you wouldn't trust sit the right way up on a toilet seat after time, let alone score loads of goals. And it really does show how far we've fallen, that we've lost a game like that, which could have been for the taking with a little bit of ambition.
Absolutely.
And we make no changes until we're 1-0 down, and the changes really aren't changes. They don't change anything. It's just more of the same.
Yeah, thank you for your assessment there, Gnome. Steve Spraggs, who is the wonderful Cockney Hammer, posting on the YouTube chat, says nail on head, rotten to the core. Chris Dalby says thanks for the stream tonight, guys. Best part of the game. See you over on the forums. I'm Bill Up. Thanks for joining us, Chris. Temp name, cheers, guys. And Adnan Hussain, it's a jumble, mate. Welcome to the stream, fellas. Thank you for joining us. Rio, your immediate post-match summary, please.
We're in dire straits, absolutely dire straits. We've got an ill-constructed, disjointed squad. We've got no attacking options. We spent the summer shipping strikers galore, and we bring in a misfiring Haller, who we don't utilise properly. Jetty, who was just signed for the sake of getting another forward in. In midfield, we've got a lot of craft when they're on form. But when they're off form, there's not enough graft. I mean, last season we had Anderson was floating around the pitch akin to Alan Devonshire. This year he's floating around the pitch akin to an unflushed turd. At the back, we've got numerous players who they're just trying to lack concentration. They lack cohesion, and it's like a comedy of errors. Who can make the biggest error? It just smacks of a side that's staring relegation in the face, and I can't see no way out. I really can't.
Okay, thank you, Rio. To everybody who's joined us on the stream after the game, thank you for joining us. Welcome to Eyes Up, Mother Brown. Unfortunately, we haven't, for the second consecutive game, got absolutely nothing to cheer. So it's a pretty demoralised bunch of moderators you see here. But thank you all the same for joining us. Let us know what you think of the game in the comments, either in YouTube or on Knees Up Mother Brown's Tottenham and West Ham match thread. We're keeping an eye on both at the moment, and we'll be keen to hear what you're saying and what you're thinking. Cockney Hammer has just posted to say, for the first time, I really fear, my apologies, for our club. I just hope there is some truth in the UAE takeover. That's something we can perhaps discuss a little bit later. Onto the forum match thread. Tenbury says, I've just watched the worst Spurs performance in years when they beat us. Take Rice, Fabianski, Souček and maybe Bowen out of that side, and they aren't fit to wear the shirts. We are a disgrace to the Premier League, which I hate anyhow. Let's all go to Brentwood. Brentwood? That's where you are, Pinky, I believe. Let's all go to Brentford, should I say, or whatever. Who is in the Championship anyway? Well, if we carry on like this, I think we're about to find out, tenors. R99C says we sold our proper stadium, stands close to the pitch, all the pubs and spots around the gaff that everyone loved, moved to a stadium unfit for football, situated virtually in a shopping centre, sacked an old past it manager, and then unbelievably brought him back. And now we'll be in the Championship. The rest of his comment I can't read, but I'm sure you can guess the nature of it. DL, what's your, over to you, my friend, what's your summary of what we've just witnessed?
It was diabolical. There's no other word to describe it, really. I called it early on. I thought I was maybe being a bit pessimistic when you other guys were saying, yeah, we're doing all right. You could just see where it was going to go. It was all off and puff, no end product. And the thing is, in the two games, to say we've not scored a goal, I can't even recall the keeper having to make a save. You know, there's not been a heading that, you know, because the keeper's made a good save or anything. It's just been awful, dreadful. There's no other, however many words are in the dictionary to describe crap. That's what we've witnessed the past two games. And Villa and Bournemouth, I can see those two stretching away for us. I think last day of the season for Villa, it's going to be a dead rubber. I'm going to be down by then.
Yeah, it's an interesting point. I mean, Pinky has suggested that might be the game that you know, both teams are relying on to survive, but it's a very real possibility, of course, that by then it could be too late. And it's certainly, you know, if West Ham continue to play this way, you can't see any other outcome at the moment. Pinky, give us something to hold on to, my friend.
Okay, well, okay. I mean, having caned Moyes 10 minutes ago, I'll now maybe just put an alternate view. Maybe, just maybe, he does know what he's doing. Just maybe, and bear with me on this one because it's a bit of a stretch. You know, we always talk about leagues within leagues, and it's just possible that Moyes has looked at the fixture list and gone, some of those games will probably get nothing from, so I'm not too worried about them. Some of the matches will go, as long as we beat Watford, and as long as we beat Norwich, and as long as we beat Villa, then we'll be fine. And it might be that the reason he's left the players on a bit longer tonight was, again, just to get them up to match fitness, really work their bodies hard, so that when we actually face the clubs to which I've just referred, we've actually got 11 players who are somewhere close to match fitness, and that just might make the difference. So I'll credit him, perhaps, if that is his plan, because there's more than one way to skin a cat. And I think back to when Sir Trevor came in as manager in the unfortunate season with Glenn Roeder, and we were in desperate trouble. And he went all out to try and win games, you know, playing basically a 4-2-4, and some of the most thrilling football I've ever seen us play. Moyes is going a more pragmatic view, there's no doubt about that, but he may just have a plan that says, I want to get my players fit, I want to get them sharp, and let's win the games that matter and not worry too much about the games that might not matter. It's a brave strategy. If it is his game plan, I hope it works. I hope the players are on board with it if that is the plan, because undoubtedly tonight we saw Antonio looking desperately tired. We saw Noble looking tired after 20 minutes, frankly. You know, Fornals ran himself into the ground tonight. I mean, a terrific effort for 4-0 tonight. So I'm not quite as despondent about some of the players as some of the guys on the forum. It's a bit of a stretch, though, to think, has Moyes really thought this through to just win the games that matter, and that's all that matters? If he has, fair play to him. But if he hasn't, then I think we're in real trouble, because Aston Villa tomorrow night, they're away to Newcastle United. Newcastle United are safe as houses on the beach. And frankly, without fans to play in front of, they'll be strolling around St James's Park. Then the next game up for the Villa, a West Midlands derby at home to Wolverhampton Wanderers. Anything could happen. So this time tomorrow, we could be in the bottom three, or we could be actually saying we are where we are. Who knows?
Looking at the table now, we of course have played a game more than Watford, a game more than Bournemouth, Villa, and Norwich. Though the latter one is slightly immaterial at the moment. It is the case that a point for Bournemouth would send them above us, or a win for Villa. What is Gnome? How does that affect a team psychologically? At the moment, West Ham, we're not in the relegation zone. However bad we're playing, we are still sitting on the cusp in 17th place. But does the psychology change completely if Bournemouth get a point or Villa get that win and we suddenly drop into the bottom three, and then we're the team chasing the points?
It might give them the kick up the backside they deserve at the moment. When we've been sort of sitting outside in the past, I think there's been a little bit of complacency where we've sat there saying, well, that attitude will see you end up in the bottom three. And, it's then you have to start playing. Just change the subject very slightly, because it's been on in the background here for the last 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And the first goal, they've shown the replay, and it clearly does come off, I think it's Dawson's arm. And they said VAR had a look at it. Well, I said at the time, if they've looked at it and they showed it, they didn't look very long at it. Yeah. And they've just shown it now, and it's come off his arm. And it's like, well, we've had goals disallowed this season because of the run Rice up at Sheffield United.
Yep.
Where there's been, that sort of thing. And if VAR have looked at that, that goal's got to be disallowed. And it just goes to prove that VAR is only as good as the people operating it, and the people operating it are just as useless off the pitch as they are on it. But yeah, getting back to the original point, so I thought I'd bring that up because they have been showing that, and there's a clear change of direction of the ball off the forearm there. Yeah. Which it's like if you got VAR, you've got to look at it properly. But yeah, I mean, I think being just outside the bottom three has been not good for us, because say that complacency sits in. Well, all right, we've got a bit of a cushion, suddenly that cushion's gone. And then if you're actually in a bit of it's almost like a microcosm of actually the game itself. If you're on the back foot all the way through, then you go one behind. It's really difficult to sort of move on the front foot. And it goes the same for whole games and game to game. If you've got that mentality, well, at least we're okay. Suddenly you've actually got to go and start thinking about going out to win games. But you've played the last 5 or 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever, going through thinking, well, we're okay as long as we don't lose. Trying to change that mindset so late in the season ain't easy.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And very, very interesting points there. And yeah, just going back to what you're saying, it absolutely correct. It does seem that there was an infringement for that first goal. And, it's baffling, isn't it, that VAR hasn't picked that up. I mean, we had that incident, Rio, at Aston Villa last week with Sheffield United, which was just ridiculous. Is this the case of technology letting us down again? To Rio, that one?
Yeah, we always seem to get the wrong end of the raw deal from VAR.
Yep.
I'm not a fan of it anyway. I mean, it's. I think DL said earlier, it's too clinical. Football's a game of human error. that could be player, official. And it's given us many, many talking points over the years. And we're trying to sanitise the game, make it too perfect. That's not what it's about. And as has been shown over the last week, it isn't perfect. Now, the system is flawed. It's open to interpretation. If someone doesn't put 50p in the meter as they did last week, it doesn't work at all. You know, it's making a mockery of the game, and it's driving people away from it.
Yeah, it certainly seems to be fairly universally despised almost this season. Thank you for your thoughts on that. Just diving into the chat quickly on YouTube, we've been joined by a lot more people, many of who appear to have come from the forum. Just say hello to all of you. Peter Singh says GSB out. Well, I think you'll find a few people that might agree with that sentiment here. Vince Thurnell, and I find this quite a sad comment. Vince says the club's rotten to the core. I've had enough. 50 years of this crap. No more for me. I'm out. I mean, how bad has it got to be for someone who's followed the club for half a century to suddenly think that's it for me? I've had enough. Vince, we hope you stay, of course, and we get through this and come out a better club at the end of it. It's difficult to see the light at the end of the tunnel right now, but let's hope it will be coming at some point. Sai Povey, how can Moyes make 2 subs out of 5 now, both weeks? That's an interesting point. We can perhaps discuss it in a moment. Moyes obviously has that option of making 5 substitutes, but once again has chosen not to. Metal in both legs. Somebody has to catch the cat to skin it. Peter Singh, next level, an athletic stadium, Antonio up front, and yet another relegation battle. Harking back to what Gnome said about the structure of the club and the prevalent issues that really begin at the top. Lewis said West Ham have now won just 2 from the last 14 matches. 1 clean sheet in the last 14, lost 7 away matches in a row. Now, if there is a more damning statistic than that out tonight, I'm not sure what it is. We have the 3rd worst home record in the Premier League. That way really lies relegation. I think if you look at the numbers there. Eugene says West Ham United are joining Norwich City in the Championship next season. It's not looking good, is it, Eugene? Chris Dalby says the stadium is going to be half empty next season. Well, I guess that's an improvement on now. How embarrassing is that going to be? Well, yes, no arguments there. We'll obviously cross that bridge when we come to it, but it's not looking good. Quickly jumping over to the Knees Up Mother Brown match thread on the forum. SH says, Gold, Sullivan and Brady, you are finally getting what you deserve. As always, though, it's us, the fans, that suffer most. I'm getting pity from my Spurs lot. It genuinely doesn't get any worse than that. And that's probably a fair point. Celador says, talking about some of the players, Lanzini was significantly better in his 20 minutes than Noble was in his 70. An interesting point. Yarmolenko has played well when healthy, but doesn't get a look. What is Wilshere on the bench for if you aren't willing to give him a sub appearance? Our bench tonight was perfectly fine. Honestly, we created 2 of our best attacks in the first 10 minutes after the substitutions. Even Anderson, who wasn't great, set up Bowen well for what was almost the equalising goal. Moyes had plenty of options, but he didn't use them. Then down 2-0 on a hot evening with players just back from a long break and a crowded fixture list coming up, he sat on 3 more subs as his players looked exhausted. He criminally mismanaged his substitutes tonight, and it's part of a long pattern. He doesn't seem to have a plan B. Ever. He barely has a plan A beyond hope not to concede. He's afraid to make changes because changes could be seen as his fault. So he hangs the players out to dry while his opposing manager makes adjustments and he doesn't react. DL, let's touch quickly on that substitution issue. He could have made 10 in the last 2 games. He's made 4. Should he have made more? Did he make too many? What do you think?
I think a team like us that is, I said this in the first mod pod, a team like us that is renowned for blowing out of our arse after 60 minutes. We've got a manager and we've got almost a full 3-fit squad as well. Now we could change half of our outfield in a game to keep it fresh, and manager's chosen not to do that. He's left on players that are blowing out their arse, that ain't performing. As said earlier on this evening, we've got Wiltshire on the bench that could change a game. He knows what it's like to play against Tottenham. You know his history with Tottenham and the times he's got pissed up on the bus and stuff like. He hates them as much as we do.
Yep.
Just someone with some balls to get on that pitch. It was powder puff tonight. He could have changed it. Yarmolenko, to quote Rio, you know, caused a bit of havoc. He done none of that. Absolutely none of it. Six substitutions he hasn't used. To me, that's criminal, especially at this stage when players ain't match fit. Pinky, I thought very admirable what he come out with about Moyes having a game plan. I think you're giving the guy way too much credit because he ain't got a game plan. If this is what he's doing, it's a very dangerous game because losing breeds losing. It breeds negativity. And you ain't going to get out of that rut by throwing the games away. Now, if that is what he's doing and we do it, I think there's a beer with your name on it. I think you're giving the manager...
I'm going to come in there if I may, DL, if I may.
Yeah, go on.
Because, you know, having thought about it, the fact that he isn't using his full range of substitutions effectively means he's eliminating some players altogether from featuring at all in the next 7 games. Because every game that goes by that, say, Jack Wilshere doesn't get a game, or a Jetty doesn't get any minutes, or whoever it may be that doesn't get any pitch time at all, effectively means as we go into the last 3 or 4 matches, you can't play them then because they will be so far behind other players in terms of match fitness, they would be completely ineffective. So, you know, the more I've thought about this, I think let's credit the manager with a little bit more of experience. You know, he's a vastly experienced manager, and I suspect he is gambling all on winning the matches that matter with a limited number of players to get him over the finishing line. And I think that's his plan. I think it's high risk.
Oh,
I think it's
very.
plan because his lack of use of the full squad suggests to me that actually he's effectively going with a final 8 game of the season squad of probably no more than 15 players.
But then we're only a bad tackle away from then having to use these players that he's shutting out. And again, what good are they going to be if Noble gets a whack on the ankle? Who we got to bring in?
Oh, it's what I'm saying. It's a gamble. It's a huge gamble, but it's kind of like the sort of thing that the professionals, they look at the game a bit differently to how we look at it, and they're a bit more calculating. And I've just got a sneaking feeling that David Moyes might have a bit more about him than perhaps certainly I was giving him credit for in the 90 minutes. So hope isn't lost yet. You know, I still think we're up against it, but I genuinely think that's probably what his plan is now. And I'll go back to the Haller situation again and the money. I'm absolutely convinced that the manager knows that on July the 1st, Haller is going to be miraculously available. And all he's doing is making sure that that's his trump card. And when it arrives on the field, it goes. I don't believe there's an injury. I think it's a financial restriction that's caused this problem. And I believe the manager knows that very clearly. And he's just managing the situation in the meantime. Because we've barely heard a word about this so-called injury.
Yep.
You know, it's barely spoken about, and it's the dog that doesn't bark, and that's what causes my suspicion.
Thank you, Pinky. DL, some very interesting points there. Gnome, were you looking to come in and point there?
I'm in the camp there. I think Pinky's giving Moyes far too much credit for planning ahead. I would say that you mentioned earlier on, you said there's the Watford game, the Burnley game. So we've got to play Villa, and we'll target those games. If he had anything about him, I'd have thrown this match into that part as well. Moyes is now just coming on live on Sky, and is understandably bemused by the fact the first goal was allowed, but I'll keep an eye on that. But
Okay, thank you.
No, I mean, you know, we're turning around. We're saying that Moyes believes that Tottenham aren't worth targeting. I mean, you know, they weren't great today. They haven't been great since the comeback. If he'd done his homework, if he had any sort of scouting network to watch opponents properly, I'd have thrown that in with the Burnley and the Watfords, and let's go. And no, I'm sorry. I know we want. I mean, I don't. I think Moyes is a decent bloke, and you know, I've said this before. I don't wish ill on him at all, but I really, really think that he doesn't know what he's doing. We're getting the standard. I've got the subtitles up. We're getting the standard thing from him now. Like, yeah, we worked very hard tonight. We made it difficult for him. It was a tremendous effort. We can take some things out from the game, but we also need the points to go with it. Well, yeah, I mean, chosen subject, the bleeding obvious. Yeah, he's also said we're lacking goals. Yeah, thanks, David. Without that masterful insight, I might have struggled to work that one out myself. You know, it's we're getting the same. He's got that haunted look as somebody said. Was it you, Pink? He said, yeah, that look of somebody who's simply there and hasn't got any clue as to what to do next, and that's where I think we are with him. I didn't think we should have appointed him first time. I didn't think we should have appointed him second time. He's now saying that we're better than we were in the first game, but yeah, it could hardly have been worse. We're still trying to get one or two players in if we can. But it's the same old stuff. I mean, it takes me back to the days we had Glenn Roeder, and after every match, it was he'd come in there and say, "Well, we're just." He'd mentioned the fact that he was an England coach at one stage. He'd shoehorn that into the conversation, and you could pay bingo. It was like, how soon into the press conference is he going to say, "We'll have to go away and work hard in training"? Well, I want to see him work hard on the pitch. It's depressing stuff. They're showing the handball again, and the ball takes a significant change in direction off the forearm.
What's Moyes' thoughts on that? Gnome, did he comment on it?
He said he'd only just seen it, and he said if VAR saw that, I can't understand how that's given. And as I said at the time, they looked at it. They must have looked at it once for about 3-4 seconds. Yeah, it really wasn't a long look.
But the thing is, Gnome, however much we can say, well, was it handball or not?
Oh yeah, I mean
you've got Stumpy Noble, having to pick up players twice his size.
Yeah,
and he's there with it, and so that basic organisation that's got nothing to do with the technology. We've just got our players set up badly to defend that position, and we deserve to concede a goal from it. As simple as that.
Yeah, it's bizarre. I mean,
they're just showing now the Sheffield United goal that came off Declan Rice's hand. Doesn't he look funny without the beard there? But it's as I say, it's the inconsistency. And I'm not a fan of VAR for a number of reasons. This is one of them. As I've always said, our referees are not very good. The whole setup is designed to protect the status quo, the elite lot. So VAR is also run by them. And so if you've got a referee who's not very good, why should he be any better in front of a TV screen? And it's an old thing that Preview Percy's come up with, but it's the true fact. More people have walked on the moon than have been demoted from the select group of referees. Genuinely,
now there's a statistic for you.
That is a genuine fact, and it's like, well, so what you're telling me is that in what we're looking at, I can't remember. I know 18, 19 years since PGMO have been going. that every referee has been of top quality all the way through. Nobody's ever been worth demoting. I mean, if that were the case, our favourite Mike Dean, how come he gets a game every week? I mean, he did it again the other night. There was a perfect challenge at Everton game. Took the ball perfectly. And he didn't get a free kick. He put the guy insult to injury, perfect time tackle, which you could see at full speed, any angle. You knew that wasn't a foul, but you know.
Okay, I'm going to cut you off there because poor Rio underneath you has been sitting there silently for about the last 15 minutes. And
sorry, Rio.
And he hasn't had any input. And I'm keen to move on a little bit. But thank you for that contribution anyway. And you know, I don't think any of us would disagree with that. I think the point is we're perhaps focusing a little bit too much on that. At the end of the day, we didn't really do enough to win. Yes, it looks like handball. But them's the breaks. I mean, as I always say, that if you don't allow the opposition to get in those positions, they can't score goals. So it's ultimately down to us, I think, you know, regardless of whose arm it brushed or, you know, whose hair it came off. Just, Rio, if you can bear with me, my friend, for another 30 to 60 seconds or so. I just want to read a few more messages from the YouTube chat, and then I'll bring you in. Thank you for your patience. The Foo Master says, we seem to be buggered. As an aside though, gents, thank you for all the work you put into KUMB. It's been a rare source of light in what's been a difficult season. So thank you for that, Foo Master. I'm sure we all appreciate your support there. It's not been the easiest of seasons, but and I too would like to echo that thanks to my team here, who do a fantastic job and continue to do so on our podcasts. Chris Dalby, we have Sanchez, can't be any worse than Noble. Jerry Flower, and I'm not sure who he's referring to here. Mate, how can you watch this shite sober? Now, I don't know if he means the match itself or our live stream. We'll assume the former, I think. Pinky seems to think Moyes is some kind of genius. I hope he's right. I'm not sure Pinky actually thinks that. I think he was just raising a suggestion. But thank you for your contribution anyway. Barry, excuse my ignorance, but why is Robbie Williams in this Zoom call? Not quite sure what's going on there. Robbie Williams? Was someone playing Robbie Williams in the background by chance? That I had no idea. DL, I'm not sure what that's about. Barry, if you can clarify that one for us, please do, because we're all a little bit bemused by that post. Rio, you've been sitting there very patiently, my friend, for the last 15 to 20 minutes, waiting for your opportunity to speak.
Sorry, Rio, there isn't time.
I'm afraid that's it for tonight. Next up, let's look ahead. All right, we've lost the game. It's gone. Let's forget it. Let's move forward. Let's try and be a little bit positive. We have got a week to dwell on it. I think next Wednesday is our next outing against Chelsea. Are we positive about that? How can we turn it around? How can we get something out of that game, which should, on paper, prove to be more difficult than tonight's?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Chelsea are a far more difficult proposition than what we've had so far. Probably our toughest game of the season. It's the chance to regroup. It's a chance to work on the training ground. A chance to try and work on a defensive shape, eradicate mistakes. My big fear is, and this is going back to the squad rotation, which Pinky and Gnome just discussed, is sending out the wrong messages, not only to the fans, but to the players themselves. If you're relying on a core 15 players and they're not been performing, and some of them haven't been performing for over a year now, and you're going to get guaranteed the game time with them, and the players on the fringe, the periphery, your Yarmolenkos, your Ajetis, your Wilshires, can't break into a side that's really dawn on its feet. What kind of message does that send out? It's not hopeful for the fans. It's not hopeful for the players on the periphery. It just really leaves no hope. And to be honest, I think if Moyes is playing a gamble, was it Premier League football's worth now? £200 million a season? Probably more than that. That's one hell of a gamble, Mr. Moyes. And I hope it's coming out the back of your pocket, because it won't be coming out of a lot of fans' pockets who will walk away if we get relegated, because You're alienating people, and you're making this club die in its arse.
It's a very despondent mood here on Eyes Up Mother Brown tonight. No, not so, says Pinky. Pinky, tell us why. Tell us why we should be positive.
I'm sticking with my madcap theory, and I'll accept fully it's a gamble. I'll accept fully that it's a stretch. But I've said on Saturday, the players aren't fit. No club's players are fit. This is essentially a pre-season tournament, and we're in a battle as to getting the most players fitter than those in and around us. And ultimately, as painful as it will be for any of us to accept, getting done by Tottenham and getting done by Chelsea won't determine whether or not we stay up this season. It's Norwich City, Aston Villa, Burnley, those games. It's those games, Watford. These are the games. And, next Wednesday, is that July the 1st?
Yes, I believe it is, yeah.
Right, Haller starts, first name on the team sheet. You heard it here first, okay? And Moyes already knows that. The check's going to go to Eintracht Frankfurt Wednesday morning. It'll be wired across. There's your money. Can we play him? And he'll be on the pitch, and he'll have 7 or 8 players who, by then, that'll be their 3rd game they're starting. And by the time we then play, who's after Chelsea?
After Chelsea, we go to Newcastle.
Right. You might actually see a half-decent performance at Newcastle with that core group of players that will then start looking reasonably sharp. I think that's the plan. I think it's dangerous. I think it's a tough one for the supporters to actually put up with. But I'd be very surprised if a manager of his experience doesn't have something up his sleeve. He must do. What else do they get the millions of pounds a year for? I mean, he must have a plan, because if we're saying here tonight, the manager of West Ham United has no plan, despite him being a 1,000-game Premier League manager, I just don't believe it. I might not like his plan, but he will have a plan.
I'd like to also point out.
Yes, Rio, go on.
In between his departure from us and to his reappointment, where had he been working? Absolutely nowhere. No other club in the country has sought to employ that man, and there's a reason for that. He's a footballing dinosaur who looks out of his depth.
Okay, so we've got 2 very opposing views there. Pinky thinks that Moyes has got something up his sleeve ready to use for the last few games. Rio is not having it at all. He says he's a dinosaur. He's out of his depth. He's gone. He's had his day. Who's going to be right? We're going to find out in the next few weeks. It really comes down to 2 very important weeks, doesn't it? I mean, between the 1st, as Pinky referred to there, and the 8th of July, we face Chelsea at home. I guess it's really immaterial where the games are being played actually at the moment. But West Ham host Chelsea on the 1st of July. On a Wednesday, on the Sunday, we travel to St James's Park to face Newcastle. 3 days later, on the 8th of July, we host Burnley. So 3 games within the space of a week there. And then another 3 games in 7 days or 8 days. We go to Norwich. We host Watford, and then we go to Manchester United. And then, of course, the season wraps up 8 days later against Aston Villa. So I guess, you can put those fixtures down into 2-3 very important segments. And then that do or die game at the end of the season against Villa, which Pinky says could, be winner takes all or loser loses all, I guess. Couple of comments, new comments come in on the chat on YouTube. Once again, thank you to everybody for joining us. We really appreciate your support on this new podcast. Also with the Mod Pod, which if you haven't seen it, is available on our YouTube channel. Go and check out the first couple of shows. We've had Paul Walker, KUMB contributor on, and Frank Keogh of the BBC as our special guests. We're going to be recording those on a regular basis. If you haven't seen them, go and check them out. We really do appreciate your support. This is a new venture for all of us. And we're learning as we go along, as you can probably tell by tonight. But a couple of comments from the chat. Chris Dolby, apparently he thinks that Barry was referring to you, DL, as Robbie Williams. So there you go. Have you ever been called Robbie Williams before?
Well, what can I say? No, not to that, really.
Excellent.
Once memorably referred to by one of the Gallagher brothers as that fat dancer out of Take That.
Yeah, that's going back some, isn't it? Yeah. I'm not sure that was the reference, but it's William Wright says, I'm not going to read it, what he says, because he's a Spurs fan, and that I don't want to read that out at the moment. We don't need that. We've just lost 2-0. We don't need it rubbed in our face. Lowell Green says, pre-season tournament. Do you remember how bad we were in that Newcastle game? Yes, we do, unfortunately. Chris Dolby says, Pinky's boomerang has more chance of coming back than West Ham coming back from the mess we're in, which is, I like that. Barry Loins looks very similar, not tuned in before. I think that's another reference to Robbie Williams deal. So looks like you're growing a little bit of a fan base already in the, as this show begins. Lowell Green, back to the football. I can't see where we're going to find 13 plus points from. Burnley and Watford will beat us too, guaranteed. Well, we shall wait and see what happens. Dio, I don't think I've asked you about Chelsea yet. If I have, I apologise, but I'm going to ask you again.
You haven't.
What do you think? Any chance?
No chance. None at all. I can't see us winning another game. I mean, I know Pinky said about Burnley being one of the 3 to win. What, the same Burnley that have stuffed us about 3 times on the trot now, isn't it, or something? Yeah.
Yes. No. So badly we rioted
absolutely
not so long ago during
yes, with the invisible 50p's. It's shocking. Yes. I can't see us. We might pick up another point, bit of fluke or something like that, but I cannot see us getting anything out of Chelsea. If we do, I could say if we win at Chelsea, I will do, but I can't think of anything that would be appropriate for broadcast. So if we win against Chelsea, I will eat. So I don't know what have I got here. Anyway, look, I've got a camera lens cleaner here. I'll drink that if we beat Chelsea.
You heard it here first, folks. Deal to consume non-consumables if we beat Chelsea. We will absolutely hold on to that.
The Rock DJ video, dear.
in much the same way as Paddy Ashdown said he was going to eat his hat. I believe if the Tories won the 2015 election, and I believe he did, DL, we're going to get you to eat something.
Well, look, let's be straight. The lid comes off. It will be going down the sink, and I'll fill it with water as soon as this finishes, just in case.
Fair play. Gentlemen, I've just looked at the time and I'm going to wrap up now because I'm sure you've got better things to do than sit here and be miserable alongside me all night long. So I'm going to go to each of you for a final word on tonight, and I'm going to start over here with the Pink Palermo. Pinky, give us your final thoughts on what you've seen this evening.
Yeah, tonight I'm obviously disappointed with the result, particularly where I felt had the manager been, whatever his plan is or isn't, on the hour, if he'd made a change, I think we'd have got something out tonight's game. And I think the fact that they allowed Mourinho to take the initiative, I think was disappointing. And I think once the first goal went in, the game was up. So I'm disappointed, but at the same time, it's only added 2 to the goal difference in the negative sense. And ultimately, come the end of the season, I don't think tonight's result is going to matter all that much. I think there are bigger games ahead. I think he does have a plan to target those games. It's risky, but I'd expect us to get nothing at Chelsea next week other than a little bit fitter and the return of Haller. And I think the first time you'll see anything like a performance will be against Newcastle United. If we don't turn up for that game, then we really are in trouble.
Pinky, thank you very much. Gnome, your summary and final words, please.
Very disappointing. There was a team, we've just lost to a team that aren't very good. Just one thing to add, in considering Palermo's, Pinky's Moyes has a master plan. Earlier on, we had a bit of discussion, and we were talking about managers and players who seem right at a certain club at a certain time. I've got an awful feeling that with Moyes, it was just Everton and that time, because nowhere else has anything gone right for him after that.
Okay, thank you very much.
I think that's where we got. So, yeah. And Louise, if you're watching, I'll give you a call in a minute.
Thanks, Gnome. Rio, your final thoughts on tonight's events?
It was a vast improvement, but we are still a million miles away from where we need to be in more ways than one.
Okay. Short and sweet. Thank you very much, Rio. And finally, for the very final word of this particular episode of Eyes Up Mother Brown, DL, your final words, please.
First 20 minutes, we were okay. Nothing more, nothing less. We tired, so I'm disappointed and quite embarrassed at just how quickly we went downhill. Hopefully, we'll put a better performance in against Chelsea. We're not going to get nothing out of it. But what I want to see is a bit of guts, trying hard. Do you know what I mean? Give them a game rather than just roll over, have our tummies tickle. Do that, I'll be happy. So I'm not expecting anything out of it.
Okay, super stuff. So the game has finished Tottenham Hotspur 2, West Ham United 0. It is a second consecutive defeat for David Moyes and his team since the Premier League restarted following the recent lockdown. West Ham are still firmly entrenched in a relegation battle, and it's only goal difference that keeps us out of the relegation zone, although everybody else around us has a game in hand now. By this time next week, we could be in the relegation zone. Looking upwards, it's very, very close. It's all getting a little bit nervous. I want to take a few seconds just to thank my team tonight for their brilliant contributions. Gnome, thank you very much for your input tonight.
Cheers, mate. Thanks, no problem.
DL, once again, thanks for staying with us. And I know this is a little bit late for you, buddy.
That's right. It's been fun.
Thank you. Rio, brilliant as usual. Thanks, buddy.
You're welcome, mate.
And Pinky, thank you very much yet again for your fabulous contributions.
Pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you also to everybody who's joined us tonight on Eyes Up Mother Brown. We shall be back next week for the Chelsea game. Before that, there will be another episode of the Mod Pod. We will probably be recording on Sunday to go live on Monday morning. Although we'll see how that goes. We're quite flexible on that. It is new and we're kind of all still finding our feet. So thank you to everybody for the support you've shown us so far on the KUMB Forum and also here on YouTube and in the chat. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe. So when we go live next time, you'll be automatically notified. You won't have to wait for my link, which can often be 5 or 10 minutes after kickoff. And we hope to see you all again very soon. Do keep in touch with us on the Knees Up Mother Brown forum. We love engaging with you on there. And that is, of course, our bread and butter, even though we're dipping our toes into the swimming pool that is the world of YouTube now. And that is about it from me and the team. I'm off to kick the cat.
Before we go, that was for Upton Gurley, what I just showed on my phone, but it didn't show. It said Ginger Lives Matter because the sun's out this week. So
yes, my wife and son are both of the redhead persuasion, so are also very aware of that. Thanks, DL. Thank you, everyone. As I said, I'm off to kick the cat after that defeat, and we'll see you all again very soon. Take care and come on, you Irons.
Night all.
Go on, you Irons.
It is. Go on,
How are you on?